time. His eyes fell on the jade, and he couldn't move away for a moment. Jun Luoyun also looked at it in shock. Imperial green? She naturally knew what imperial green jade meant. A few years ago, the Emperor of the Western regions presented a set of imperial green jadeite headpieces to the Queen on her birthday. She had seen it with her own eyes. It was extremely exquisite, and she loved it very much. She sent people to look for it for a long time but failed, and finally had to give up. Now that the lowly people actually opened the imperial green jadeite, how could she accept it? At this time, Zhang Ruoyi stepped forward and said to the stone cutter, "Here, cut it again."
Hey.
Okay, I'll open it now. As soon as he finished speaking, he cut it again. Now, everyone dared not whisper anymore, and they all looked at the stone intently, fearing that they would miss a bit of excitement. After a while, the big stone broke into two halves. When their eyes fell on the cut surface, they couldn't help but be stunned again. They saw that behind the original imperial green jadeite, there was a bowl-sized cut surface. The cut surface was no longer green, but an extremely charming purple. This is the finest imperial purple.
Oh my God.
There is another color of jade in this stone. It's such a beautiful purple. I'm rich. I'm really rich. I have achieved perfection in my lifetime. Even if I die today, I have no regrets. At this time, an old man came over and bowed to Zhang Ruoyi. "Young master, are you going to sell this jade?" Without waiting for Zhang Ruoyi to answer, the old man said, "I am willing to offer 100,000 taels for these two pieces of jade." 100,000 taels. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. As soon as he finished speaking, another person said, "Old white-haired man, you are being a little unfair. This young master's jadeite can obviously be sold for more silver. In my opinion, it should be at least 120,000 taels. I'll offer 130,000 taels, 150,000 taels, 160,000 taels." The biddings were endless. Zhang Ruoyi was a little surprised. She didn't expect that these two stones could be sold at such a high price. She didn't know that jadeite was very popular among the royal family and nobles in Tianshan and Bailing. A piece of good jade was not much cheaper than Dongzhu, and the price would be even higher after being made into a headpiece. At this moment, a figure suddenly rushed towards the jade, shouting as he ran, "This is mine. It belongs to this young master." Zhang Qian was like crazy, and his eyes were red with anger. "Give it back to me. This is mine." When he was only one step away from the original stone, Ah Cheng appeared in front of the original stone, stretched out his foot, and kicked Zhang Qian in the abdomen. Zhang Qian was a second-generation ancestor, who had no knowledge and no martial arts at all. How could he withstand such a kick? His figure flew backwards like a bead with a broken string, leaving a long mark on the ground. "You dare to covet my young master's things. You are courting death," Ah Cheng said angrily. You are so brave. How dare you kick me?" Zhang Qian barely stood up with the help of the servants, with a trace of blood on his lips. Zhang Ruoyi glanced at him. "What are you doing in public? Are you trying to rob me? It's obviously mine." He blushed and stiffened his neck and shouted, "I bought it with 7,000 taels of silver." "Yes, you spent 7,000 taels of silver to buy it, but sold it to me for 700 taels, didn't you?" Zhang Ruoyi sneered. "Everyone is a witness. Why? Are you unwilling to accept the increase in the value of the stone?" How could he be willing? That was more than 100,000 taels of silver. He just gave away such a large sum of money. What's the difference between this and begging with a golden bowl in hand? "I will return the 700 taels to you. Give me back my stone." Zhang Qian looked at her and said in a cold voice, "Did you do this on purpose? You must have known that there was jade in the stone, so you bought these two pieces of waste material back. Did Mr. Zhang lose his memory? I said that this was my first time gambling on stones, and I said during the period that I didn't plan to buy it, but didn't Mr. Zhang say that the rules of gambling on stones cannot be disrupted? I have been doing things according to the rules you said, so how can I say it was intentional?" Xiaorao also said, "That's right. My son kept shirking his responsibilities, and it was Mr. Zhang who forced him to buy and sell, so my son had to take out 700 taels of silver. Everyone witnessed it, and you still want to deny it? That's right, I never expected that Mr. Zhang, who looks very generous on weekdays, is actually such a person who can't afford to lose. The material that you have opened up has increased greatly in the hands of others. Anyone would feel very uncomfortable, but I have never seen anyone ask for it back like Mr.
Zhang.
You have to be more careful in the future. You must not sell raw stones to Mr. Zhang, let alone buy his stones. Otherwise, if the price drops, you will have to return it. If the price goes up, you will have to return it again. After the voice fell, everyone laughed again. Zhang Qian stood there, his face as black as the bottom of a pot, his fists clenched, staring at Shang Ruai fiercely. Jun Luoyun's face was also very ugly. Who could have thought that a piece of waste material could produce such a stunning jade? Are you selling these two jades? Shang Ruai raised her eyebrows when she heard Jun Luoyun's voice. Didn't the princess say that nothing can be found in my stone? Why do you want to buy it now? Stop talking nonsense. Just tell me how much money you want. Jun Luoyun said coldly. There is nothing that our city prince's mansion cannot afford. Really? Shang Ruai curled her lips slightly. But I don't want to sell it to you.
You.
This is my jadeite. I can sell it to anyone I want. You can sell it for as much money as you want. Shang Ruai no longer looked at her increasingly dark face. If the princess wants to buy it, wouldn't it be better for her to open it herself? Zhang Qian stood behind Jun Luoyun and whispered, Princess, in my opinion, she doesn't take you seriously at all. You must not let her off easily with such contempt. Do you need to talk nonsense here? Jun Luoyun's face became even uglier, and she frowned as she looked at Zhang Qian. He was a person who was more likely to cause trouble than to help. If he had not sold the broken stone, would there be so many things now? As the stone-breaking machine turned, 2 large pieces of jade appeared completely in front of everyone. Such gorgeous colors made people intoxicated. 180,000 taels. 200,000 taels. 300,000 taels. At this moment, an old man stepped forward with a warm smile on his lips. Young master, our Zhou family is willing to offer 300,000 taels to buy these 2 pieces of jade from you. 300,000 taels is not a small number. Jun Luoyun's face became even uglier when she heard this. 300,000 taels. She simply couldn't afford it now. Shang Ruai looked at her and smiled. Princess, do you want to continue to raise the price?
Jun Luoyun clenched her fists.
She was clearly doing it on purpose. She knew she couldn't come up with so much silver, but she still asked her on purpose. It's just 2 pieces of jadeite. This princess doesn't care about it. What rare treasures don't we have in the city prince's mansion? Shang Ruai nodded seriously. What the princess said is right, but the city prince's mansion should not have the purple oriental pearl. I saw you were determined to get it at the auction a few days ago, and I thought that the oriental pearl would definitely fall into your hands. The old things were brought up again, and Jun Luoyun heard only sarcasm. The old man of the Zhou family bowed slightly to Shang Ruai. Young master, I am the head of the Zhou family, Zhou Qin. This kind of top-grade jadeite has been searched for several years by our Zhou family master, but has never seen it. Today, no matter how much silver, I will definitely bring it back. Although these words were said to Shang Ruai, they were actually said to Jun Luoyun. Although Jun Luoyun was a princess, she was also a princess of the western regions. This was Bailing, and the Zhou family was the largest family in Bailing. They didn't take a mere adopted daughter of the city prince seriously at all. Jun Luoyun naturally heard the hidden meaning and was so angry that she trembled all over. This Bailing is full of people, and they dared not take her seriously. Shang Ruai secretly looked at Zhou Qin for a few times, and she had a general understanding of the strength of the Zhou family. After all, if it was an ordinary family, how could a head wear silk? 300,000 taels was the highest price that could be offered. Zhang Qian's eyes were red, and his whole body was shaking uncontrollably. 300,000 taels. 300,000 taels. He just sold this overwhelming wealth for 700 taels of silver?
No.
He must find a way to get this jade back. Since Manager Zhou has offered the highest bid, These 2 jades are yours. Manager Zhou smiled and said, Young master is a young talent. You are truly exceptional in luck. Manager Zhou, you are too kind. I was just playing around. It doesn't count. You can't say that. Manager Zhou waved his hands quickly and said, If you don't have great luck, you will never be able to mine such precious jades. Even if you buy the raw stones, you will lose them for various reasons. As soon as old Zhou finished speaking, he heard people chuckling behind him. Isn't the Master Zhou talking about the young master of the Zhang family? Yes, it was obviously young Master Zhang who bought the raw stone first. After cutting it, he was afraid that he would lose so much money that even his own father would not recognize him, so he sold it at a low price. Now, the real treasure is in the scrap he gave as a gift. It's God's will. It's absolutely God's will. Young Master Zhang is really unlucky. He sold this huge wealth to someone else for 700 taels. It is estimated that he will hardly have any good luck in the second half of his life. You should stay away from him in the future, so as not to bring his bad luck to us. The next moment, there was no one within 1 meter around Zhang Qian. You, he panted and said, Wait for me. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned and left. Manager Zhou took out the banknotes and handed them to Shang Ruai. Young master, please forgive me for being so rude, but may I ask your name? My name is Lingjun. Master Lingjun, if you are free, please come to our house and have a visit. Thank you for your hospitality, Manager Zhou. She did not count the banknotes, but handed them to Xiaoyao for safekeeping. Manager Zhou saw her behavior and was more certain that she must be from a noble family. She didn't even look at the 300,000 taels. At this moment, an old man stepped forward. I am the shopkeeper of Wanshishai. Congratulations to Dr. Lingjun for opening such a priceless jadeite. Does the shopkeeper know me? Yes, of course I know you. You saved the eldest lady of our house. Now in the capital of Bailing, all the properties of our Lin family will naturally know you, the doctor. It turned out that Wanshishai belonged to the Lin family. Are you the miracle doctor who cured Miss Lin? The voice of the headmaster Zhou was much higher than before, and his tone was full of surprise. Yes. Miss Doctor, I wonder if you can go back to the Zhou family with me? Seeing his anxious tone, Shang Ruai couldn't help asking, But what's the urgent matter? The headmaster Zhou looked around and whispered, There are many people here. Miracle Doctor, can you please talk to me? Shang Ruai nodded. Xiaorao handed the banknotes to Ah Cheng. She was a little scared to have so many banknotes on her. Arriving at the private room of Wanshishai, Manager Zhou knelt directly in front of her. Please, Dr. Lingjun, save my young master. In response to such a great gift, Shang Ruai hurriedly helped him up. Manager Zhou, please stand up and talk. What are you doing? You can cure Miss Lin's disease, which is so difficult to cure. Now my young master's life depends on you. Tell me, what kind of disease does your young master have? Manager Zhou shook his head. To be honest, even if our Zhou family invites famous doctors from all over the world, they can't figure out what disease my young master has. Shang Ruai raised her eyebrows when she heard this. There is such a strange disease? Well, I happen to have nothing to do today, so I will go and see your young master. When she left Wanshishai, she felt a resentful gaze falling behind her. No need to guess, it must be Jun Luoyun. Princess, shall we go back? Jun Luoyun's eyes fell on the raw stones around him, and he said lightly, If not, this princess will not believe it. A lowly person can open such a top-grade jade, but this princess can't? What kind of person is lucky? This princess will let them see today who is the real person with great luck. After saying that, he walked straight to the stall selling raw stones. Shang Ruai originally thought that the Zhou family would build the house in the most prosperous area. After getting off the carriage, Shang Ruai couldn't help but be stunned. This was actually outside the capital. The Zhou family was very wealthy, so why would they build the house in such a remote place? Manager Zhou saw her confusion and said with a smile, Divine Doctor, our wife doesn't like to be disturbed, so she ordered people to build a house here, close to the mountains and rivers, and also invited talented people to take a look. The feng shui here is very good and very nourishing. Shang Ruai nodded. The mountains and rivers here are indeed pleasant. If you want to cultivate yourself, it is really great. Please come in, doctor. Several people came to the main hall, and manager Zhou went to invite Mr. Zhou. Shang Ruai looked at the furnishings in the hall calmly. The Zhou family is worthy of being the largest family in Bailing, and the furnishings in the hall are very exquisite. Young master. Ah Chung walked up to her and whispered, "This Zhou family is different from other families. The Zhou family's assets are extremely large, and even the prince cannot see its full picture. It is rumored that the head of the Zhou family has an iron fist, is cold and cold-hearted, and is extremely difficult to approach. The Zhou family was in the western regions in the early years, and I don't know why they moved to Bailing." Shang Ruai nodded, smiled, and said, "He is becoming more and more like a qualified guard." Ah Chung blushed when he heard this, and scratched his head foolishly. Xiaoyao saw his movements and curved the corners of her lips. At this time, a burst of hurried footsteps came from outside. Looking sideways, I saw a middle-aged man walking very quickly, and the head Zhou was trotting behind him. Where is the miracle doctor? Where is he? His eyes fell on Shang Ruai, and he hurriedly walked in, stood in front of her, and bowed deeply. "Meet the miracle doctor. Is this the head of the Zhou family?" Shang Ruai stood up and glanced at Ah Chung. "Cold-hearted? This person doesn't seem to be like that." Ah Chung was also a little confused. He had seen the head of the Zhou family from a distance a few years ago, and he was indeed very cold. "That's right." He looked at Shang Ruai eagerly. "I wonder if the miracle doctor can go and take a look at my son?" "Of course." She stood up. "But before I go to see the patient, please tell me briefly what the condition of your son is."
Ah.
He sighed, his face full of worry. "To be honest, my son was a healthy child when he was born, but he fell seriously ill when he was 3 years old. Since then, he has been weak and often sick. My wife and I have invited many famous doctors for him, but we don't even know what disease he has." As they were talking, they had already arrived at the backyard. As soon as they entered the backyard, a strong smell of medicine filled their noses. Shang Ruai walked into the room, only to see that all the windows in the house were closed. Not a single ray of sunlight could get in, and the air was extremely dirty. "Why don't you open the window for ventilation?" Shang Ruai said coldly. "In a room like this, not to mention patients, even healthy people will get sick." The maid who was serving hurriedly said, "It's the young master. The young master is complaining about the cold, so the servants dare not open the window or the door." "It doesn't matter. Open the window." Shang Ruai walked to the bed and saw a handsome but extremely thin man lying there. He seemed to be trapped in a terrifying dream, with a frown and cold sweat on his forehead. Shang Ruai's hand was on his pulse, and after a while, her eyebrows jumped violently. "What kind of disease is this? This is clearly a goo. Seeing a doctor will naturally not yield any results. If according to what Mr. Zhou said, the young master of the Zhou family had a serious illness at the age of 3, and his body became weaker and weaker, which means that he was poisoned by the goo at the age of 3. How did he support himself until today, after more than 10 years? Divine Doctor, how is it?" Mr. Zhou asked cautiously. "Not very optimistic." Shang Ruai looked around. The poisonous insect had been in Master Zhou's body for so many years. There must be someone who put the poison in him lurking around him. "There is something I want to tell you alone." The servants filed out, leaving only Shang Ruai and Master Zhou in the room. "Divine Doctor, if you have anything to say, just say it." "Your son's illness." Before she could finish, she keenly noticed that someone had come into the yard. At this moment, the voice of Manager Zhou came over. "Madam, you are here."
Yes.
Madame Zhou said lightly. "I heard from the servants in the mansion that a doctor came to see the young master?" "That's right. The Divine Doctor is already in the room." "Divine Doctor?" Madame Zhou's eyes flashed with disdain. "What Divine Doctor? Aren't there many people who claim to be Divine Doctors in recent years? Has anyone cured him?" Madame Zhou has been so arrogant since she entered the mansion, and Manager Zhou has long been accustomed to it. Just as Madame Zhou was about to go in, she was stopped by Manager Zhou. "Madam, The genius doctor said he wants to talk to the master alone.
Yes.
Madame Zhou nodded, but did not stop, and pushed the door open and walked in. Shang Ruai was interrupted, and Master Zhou was anxiously waiting for her next words. Madame Zhou walked in. Her eyes fell on Shang Ruai, which was even more biting than the cold wind whistling outside. A miracle doctor? Shang Ruai bowed. Madam.
Haha.
She walked behind Mr. Zhou and said with a fake smile, such a young miracle doctor is rare. How good the medical skills are, it seems that there is no direct relationship with age. I don't think so. How many patients have you treated at such a young age? How can I give you the legitimate son of the Zhou family to practice casually? Shang Ruai couldn't help but sneered when she heard it. I don't know how noble the legitimate son of the Zhou family is. In my eyes, people are divided into 3 types: normal people, patients, and dead people. Now this young Master Zhou is a patient in my eyes, but if this body drags on, he must be dead. Her words shocked Mr. Zhou, and he hurriedly said, Miss Doctor, you must save my son. Madame Zhou raised her hand and stroked the hairpin on her head with a little coldness in her eyes. At this moment, a unique fragrance came into Shang Ruai's nose. This is. She looked at Madame Zhou with a veiled gaze. This smell was the unique aroma of the blood-attracting goo. The blood-attracting goo feeds on blood. After entering the human body, it will slowly absorb the blood and flesh of the person. Over the years, the blood in the human body will be clean and finally become a dried corpse. This blood-attracting goo is extremely difficult to detect. It hides in the blood. If you are not extremely proficient in goo insects, I am afraid that the person who is infected with the goo will become a dried corpse and no one will find its location. Since the master trusts you, I will not interfere too much. Madame Zhou turned to Master Zhou and said, Do not say that I, as a stepmother, have treated him harshly. Master Zhou said nothing, but there was a hint of anger between his eyebrows at her words. However, due to the presence of Shang Ruai, he did not lose his temper. He looked at Shang Ruai, Divine Doctor. What is the cause of my son's illness? Shang Ruai smiled. It doesn't matter. It's just that the previous illness has damaged his foundation. I will prescribe a prescription for him later. He will slowly recuperate, and he'll be fine soon. As soon as she finished speaking, Madame Zhou showed a disdainful smile on her face. She let down her guard. He was indeed a useless person, and he still called himself a divine doctor. What was the difference between him and those useless people? She looked at Zhou Jingyao on the bed again, and a sneer appeared at the corner of her lips. It won't be long. In a few days he will die. Shang Ruai secretly looked at Madame Zhou's expression and understood in her heart that it seemed that the mastermind behind the transformation of the young master of the Zhou family into the half-human, half-ghost appearance he had today was Madame Zhou. When Mr. Zhou heard her say this, the smile on his face faded a little. All the miracle doctors he invited said the same thing, but no one had ever cured his son. Master, I'm not feeling well, so I'll go back and rest first. Mr. Zhou nodded. Go ahead. Madame Zhou bowed. Her eyes passed over Shang Ruai, and she turned and left. After Madame Zhou left, Shang Ruai lowered her voice and said to Master Zhou, I have something to ask Master Zhou. Please tell me the truth. God Doctor, please ask. Madame Zhou said she was the second wife. I wonder when she entered the mansion? Master Zhou was stunned for a moment, thought for a while, and said, My wife entered the mansion when my son was 2 years old. He looked at Shang Ruai. Sir, what is the meaning of your question? Do Madame Zhou and Master have children? When Master Zhou mentioned this, his face was a little ugly, and he whispered, There is a son. She got pregnant just after entering the mansion, but the child was not strong enough in the. He died not long after he was born. After that, he had no children. It was true. Shang Ruai narrowed her eyes and said in a deep voice, Just now, Madam was here, and there are some things I can't say more. Your young master is not weak, but he is poisoned by a goo.
What? Poisoned?
How is this possible? Master Zhou almost cried out in surprise. You mean there are worms in my son's body that can hurt people?
Yes.
Shang Ruai's face was as dark as water. If we continue to let the poisonous worm stay in Master Zhou's body, I'm afraid he will die within 5 days. Master Zhou was terrified when he heard this. Divine Doctor, what should we do? I can cure this poison, but I'm afraid Master Zhou will have to catch the person who put the poison on him personally. The person who put the poison on him? Master Zhou murmured a few times, then suddenly looked up at her. You mean, whether it is true or not, you will know in a few days. Master Zhou's face suddenly became ugly. Shang Ruai took out a black porcelain bottle, which was full of green liquid, and a strange fragrance emanated from the liquid. She soaked the silver needle in it, and after a few breaths, she took out the silver needle and stabbed it in the center of Zhou Jingyao's eyebrows. Master Zhou was shocked when he saw this. What? What is this for? I'm looking for the hiding place of the poisonous insect. She moved the silver needle slightly, and the fragrance suddenly spread. Even Master Zhou couldn't help but smell it a few more times. At this moment, a bulge appeared on Zhou Jingyao's arm. Master Zhou saw this, and pointed at the place where the poisonous insect appeared with a trembling hand, swallowed his saliva. Is that a poisonous insect? Shang Ruai nodded, and her face couldn't help but become serious. This poisonous insect has been in his body for more than 10 years and has fully matured, but this poisonous insect has grown quite big, much longer than a finger. The poisonous insect seemed to be attracted by the fragrance and became excited. Zhou Jingyao, who had already fallen into a coma, looked even paler, but his lips became more and more red, and there were more and more beads of sweat on his head. Shang Ruai took out the silver needle dipped in medicine again and pierced his arm. The smell was very close to the poisonous insect, and it was wriggling faster and faster. Shang Ruai took out the spiritual spring water and put it into Zhou Jingyao's mouth. This spiritual spring water can protect his heart and make his body more comfortable. She took out an extremely sharp scalpel and cut a 2-inch long wound on Zhou Jingyao's skin. She applied the medicine around the wound and used a silver needle to guide the goo worm to crawl to the wound. Master Zhou stared at the goo worm getting closer and closer to the wound, and suddenly stopped when it was about to swim to the end. Shang Ruai narrowed her eyes slightly. Sure enough, this was a mature goo worm, not as easy to deceive as the juvenile goo worm. She took out another porcelain bottle, which was filled with spiritual spring water. She poured the spiritual spring water on the wound. Not long after, the goo worm tasted the fragrance of the spiritual spring water and could no longer resist the temptation and crawled straight to the wound. At this time, Shang Ruai focused on the goo worm that was about to show its head, and she didn't know when she put on a pair of gloves on her hands. The teeth of the blood-inducing goo are extremely sharp. If you are not careful and get bitten by it, it will be more than you gain. The skin at the wound moved a few times, and the next moment, a bright red worm showed its small head, biting the flying flesh and blood. Shang Ruai seized the opportunity, grabbed the head of the poisonous insect, and threw it out with force. At the same time, the silver needle in her hand shot out, and the bright red poisonous insect was nailed to the wall, making a squeak.
Ugh.
Master Zhou couldn't help retching when he saw the insect. Thinking that the poisonous insect had been in his son's body for more than 10 years, he couldn't stop trembling all over. He came to the wall, looking at the constantly twisting poisonous insect, wishing to tear it into pieces. Master Zhou, don't move. Shang Ruai hurriedly stopped him and said, Mr. Zhou still needs it to recover. Although this poisonous insect is disgusting now, it is the best tonic. She walked forward, and the poisonous insect was already motionless. Master Zhou whispered, I will help the genius doctor take it down. Without waiting for Shang Ruai to stop him, Master Zhou stretched out his hand. Just as his hand was about to touch the insect's body suddenly grew longer and bit Master Zhou's hand. Be careful. In a flash, ding. A silver needle shot out and nailed the insect's mouth to the wall. Master Zhou felt his hair stand on end, and his back was soaked with cold sweat. This insect is the best at pretending to be dead. It can hide in the human body for more than 10 years without being discovered. Shang Ruai walked up and pinched its head, taking it down from the wall. Blood-induced insects use blood as a guide. Your son was dry by such a little thing. She shook the insect. As long as it is dried and supplemented with other medicinal materials, the blood and flesh of the whole body can be restored within 10 days. The rest needs to be slowly adjusted. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. He wiped the tears from his eyes and said, after more than 10 years, my son is finally saved. Master Zhou, you don't have to be so polite. Seeing his excitement, Shang Ruai reminded him, Master Zhou, the person who poisoned your son has not been caught yet. You must not reveal the news that the poison has been cured. Now that the poison has grown, the person who poisoned your son will take it back in the next 2 days. You just need to wait for the opportunity. When the person who poisoned your son was mentioned, Master Zhou's excitement suddenly subsided. Yes, that person has not been caught yet. His eyes fell on his son on the bed. When he thought of his son being tortured by that person for so many years, his heart was like being pinched and crushed by a big hand. Shang Ruai turned around to clean up the medicine bottles on the table. At this moment, a red mark behind her ear caught Master Zhou's attention. This is it. He stepped forward quickly and grabbed her arm. His emotions were even more excited than before. Child, did you have the mark behind your ear when you were born? Mark? What mark? She had never noticed it before. Seeing her reaction, Master Zhou knew that his guess was correct. Who is Rugia to you? Rugia, her mother's maiden name. Shang Ruai looked at him, and a ridiculous idea filled her mind. Could it be that her mother has some relationship with the head of the Zhou family? Child, is Rugia your mother? Seeing his anxious look, Shang Ruai whispered, what is the relationship between Master Zhou and her? By saying this, she acknowledged what Master Zhou had just said. Your mother, is she okay? Master Zhou asked anxiously. My mother has passed away for many years. What? He said in surprise. What is going on? Shang Ruai looked at his expression, and his concerned look did not seem fake, which made her more certain of her guess. My mother was not in good health and passed away. Shang Ruai said in a solemn tone. Master Zhou, I don't want to reveal my identity, so don't mention my mother's affairs to others. I understand. She showed people with a mask because she didn't want others to know her identity. Master Zhou hasn't said how he met my mother? Speaking of this, he couldn't help but smile. As the saying goes, a gentleman loves a beautiful lady. Your mother is a famous beauty. She came to Bailing with your grandfather to do business. We met by chance. After just one meeting, her appearance was engraved in my mind. I tried my best to please her, but it was difficult to make her smile. Later I learned that she already had a lover. So that's it. Shang Ruai's heart was slightly relieved. She thought that Master Zhou was a debt of love for her mother. But what was her mother's look? No matter how you look at it, the head of the Zhou family is more than 100 times better than her cheap father. Master Zhou. She was interrupted by him before she finished her words. Why, Master Zhou, just call me uncle. Your mother and I are not destined to be husband and wife, but I persuaded her to recognize me as her elder brother, so I am your uncle. Shang Ruai almost laughed out loud. This Master Zhou was really interesting. Yes, uncle. Shang Ruai dried the poisonous insect, combined it with the herbs in the space, boiled it with spiritual spring water, and fed a bowl of bright red medicine to Zhou Jingyao to drink. As soon as the medicine entered his mouth, Zhou Jingyao's face instantly became rosy, and his originally dry skin also regained some elasticity. Shang Ruai nodded and said to the head of the Zhou family, Uncle Zhou, now that the poison has been cured, you can take this pill every morning and evening. She took out 2 porcelain bottles. 1 pill each time. Okay. The head of the Zhou family was overjoyed. Thanks to you this time. Otherwise, my Zhou family would be extinct. At this moment, the voice of the head Zhou came again. The genius doctor is treating the young master in the room. The master has ordered no one to get close. Miss Xiaodao, if you have anything to say, just talk outside. Madam ordered me to bring some food to the genius doctor and the master. These are all made by Madam herself, so I have to deliver them in person. Upon hearing this, the head of the Zhou family frowned and shouted to the outside of the door, "I'm not hungry. Go away." When Xiaodao heard this, her eyes were a little unfriendly, but since the head of the family said so, how could she, a maid, not listen? She had to turn around and leave. "Uncle Zhou, it seems that she can't wait any longer." Xiao Tao brought the snacks back to Madame Zhou's yard. Madame Zhou was mixing flower juice to dye her nails. When she heard Xiao Tao's footsteps, she asked without turning her head, "What's wrong?" "Madam, I failed to get in."
What?
She frowned, threw down the work in her hands, and saw the snacks in her hands intact, and said in a deep voice, "I didn't even get in the door? I didn't do my job well. Please punish me, madam." Madame Zhou narrowed her eyes slightly. Could it be that the genius doctor saw something? Her heart sank slightly. It seemed that she had to remove the blood-inducing goo from the child born by that as soon as possible. At night, everything was silent. A figure shuttled through the Zhou mansion like a ghost, and soon stopped in Zhou Jingyao's yard. Gently pushing open the door, the servant inside had already been lying on the ground unconscious. She put away the smoke in her hand, walked past the servant, and came straight to Zhou Jingyao's bed. Looking at the man with closed eyes and thin face on the bed, she whispered, "You can't blame me in the underworld. If you want to blame someone, blame you for being the son of that. That owes me and my child, and only you can repay it." After she finished speaking, she took out a porcelain bottle. The fragrance coming from it was exactly the same as what Shang Ruai smelled on her body during the day. This is the favorite smell of the blood-attracting goo. It will be extremely excited every time it smells this smell. She put the porcelain bottle in front of Zhou Jingyao's nose, trying to let the goo worm crawl out through his nasal cavity. After a long while, the goo worm showed no signs of crawling out. She couldn't help but feel a little anxious. What's going on? When I came to see her yesterday, the goo worm was still crawling around in her body. After so long today, why is there no movement at all? Where did it go? Where did my poison worm go? At this moment, a light laugh came from the beam. "Madame Zhou, your poison worm is no longer in Master Zhou's body." As soon as the voice fell, the lights in the room suddenly lit up. Madame Zhou turned around and saw the head of the Zhou family standing not far behind her. The next moment, a figure appeared beside the bed. "Madame Zhou, are you looking for this?" She spread her palm, and a poison worm head appeared in her palm. Seeing this, Madame Zhou's face suddenly changed. "Can you remove the poison?" "It's just a goo technique," Shang Ruai said with a smile. Why is Madame Zhou so surprised? Madame Zhou looked at the head of the goo worm. Her eyes were as red as bloodshot, and she said in a trembling voice, "You killed my blood-attracting goo, which I have carefully nurtured for more than 10 years. I am only one step away, just one step away." She suddenly stretched out her hands and slapped Shang Ruai. The internal force in her palm surged, and if she was hit, she would probably break bones and tendons. The palm wind came, and Shang Ruai's body did not dodge, stretched out her right hand, and collided with her palm. With just one move, Madame Zhou's body flew backwards.
Puff.
A mouthful of blood spurted out, and she lay on the ground struggling for a long time, unable to get up.
Why?
The head of the Zhou family looked solemn and said in a low voice, "How has our Zhou family done anything wrong to you? Why do you want to do this?" Madame Zhou sneered, her eyes full of anger. "Why? You actually have the nerve to ask me why?" She shouted hysterically. "I am obviously the legitimate daughter of the main wife. Why did you marry that?"
Why?
"She is just a concubine's daughter. Her mother is just my mother's maid. My father got drunk and mistook her for my mother. That's how she was born, with such a humble origin. You actually protected her like a treasure. It was obviously an engagement between you and me, but you broke the engagement and ordered her to be the main wife. Where did you put me?" My Chao family is also a well-known family in southern Xinjiang, but it has become a laughingstock among people. Do you know how painful it is for me? The head of the Zhou family lowered his eyebrows, and a trace of coldness flashed across his eyes when he mentioned his deceased wife. The marriage contract between the Zhou family and the Chao family did not specify the legitimate daughter or the illegitimate daughter. The Zhou family has the final say on who to marry. I want to marry Huier, and it's my freedom. If you hate someone, you should hate me. Why are you taking it out on the child? Who made him the son of that? If it weren't for her, would I have suffered such humiliation? I am the legitimate daughter of the first wife. I lost to a lowly illegitimate daughter. Do you know how I lived all those years? She burst into tears with strong hatred in her eyes. So, what if she's the first wife? What does it matter if she's born of a legitimate wife or a concubine's wife? Shang Ruai sneered. If her character is noble, she will be respected even if she's born of a concubine. If her character is bad, she won't be respected even if she's born of a legitimate wife. What do you know? Madame Zhou looked at her and said angrily, "Do you know how terrible rumors are? If I didn't marry into the Zhou family, no one would mention my marriage anymore. Even when I was past the age of marriage, no matchmaker came to propose marriage. If it weren't for the death of that, I'm afraid I would have died of old age in the boudoir. But you finally became the mistress of the Zhou family. Why did you harm her child?" He was only 3 years old at the time. The head of the Zhou family said in a deep voice, "Why couldn't you even let a 3-year-old child go? If he hadn't taken my son's luck, how could Binner be so weak?" Madame Zhou recovered a little and barely supported herself to stand up. "My Binner, he was so young, and he stopped breathing. Do you know how sad I am? So, you used witchcraft to exchange one life for another?" Shang Ruai's eyes were cold, and she said sternly, "Do you know what price you have to pay to change your destiny?" As soon as she finished speaking, Mrs. Zhou's eyes widened. "How do you know?" "Blood attracting goo uses blood as a guide and meat as food. The blood and essence of the person who is poisoned will be absorbed by it. It can be used as medicine to feed any dying person, and it has the miraculous effect of bringing the dead back to life. I guess you want to use this goo to save your biological son." Shang Ruai looked at the remains of the goo in her palm. "When I took out the goo, I found that there was a black line on the body of the goo. Normally, the blood-attracting goo will not have a black line. The only possibility of a black line is that the goo is under a spell." Mrs. Zhou clenched her fists and her teeth began to tremble. "Who are you? Didn't I tell you who I am a long time ago?" Shang Ruai clenched her hand violently, and the poisonous insect in her palm turned into powder. Madame Zhou was furious. I will kill you." Madame Zhou didn't know where she got the strength from, and rushed towards her quickly. Several poisonous spikes in her palm flew towards her with the sound of breaking through the air. The silver needle in Shang Ruai's hand flew out and knocked the poisonous spikes to the ground. At this time, Madame Zhou's palm wind was already in sight. Shang Ruai sneered. "With this little ability, you still want to change other people's fate. You are really overestimating yourself." She was extremely fast, and a silver needle suddenly shot out and went straight through Madame Zhou's palm. With a scream, Madame Zhou held her shot hand. Looking at the gradually blackened skin, she said in a deep voice, "Poison. You poison me." "What?" Shang Ruai smiled coldly. "Compared with your witchcraft, what's so despicable about my poison?" The head of the Zhou family waved his hand. "Catch, madam." Madame Zhou looked at him, her eyes full of hatred. "Do you want to fight to the death with me? You chose the road yourself," he said in a heavy tone. "People always have to pay the price for what they do. Haha, Mr. Zhou, you want to tear your face with me for the sake of that child. Sooner or later, you will regret it." As soon as she finished speaking, a black round bead appeared at her fingertips. She threw it towards the direction of the head of the Zhou family, and suddenly, flames rose up, and it was another thunder and fire bomb. When the smoke dissipated, Madame Zhou's figure had disappeared. The head of the Zhou family looked solemn. "Come here, search the whole city, and make sure to find the lady." "Yes." Shang Ruai looked at the shaking window, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. Madame Zhou held her palm, and Xiaotao supported her beside her. "Madam, please be careful," Xiaotao said softly. "Don't worry, the poison on your hand will be removed. I don't care about this little poison, but the full moon is coming soon and Binner still needs my blood to survive. Cough, cough, cough. She couldn't stop coughing. The two came to a remote house. Madame Zhou walked into the courtyard and ran towards a room anxiously. There was a baby cradle on the bed in the room, and a baby in the cradle was lying in the inner room with a pale face.
Binner.
She rushed over, looking at the baby in the cradle, her eyes full of love. This expression did not last long and was replaced by anger and hatred. Ling Jun, I will tear you into pieces. Just one step away, my Binner will see the light of day again. If it weren't for her, my child would have woken up by now. At this moment, a voice that made her teeth itch with hatred appeared around her. Madame Zhou, good and evil will be rewarded in the end. The evil you did is repaid on your child. Why do you hold this grudge against me? Shang Ruai sneered. If you hadn't used witchcraft to harm others and suffered backlash, hurting the fetus, why would your child become like this today? Shang Ruai walked in from outside. Her eyes fell on the child in her arms and said coldly, You used witchcraft to confine his body to the size when he was born. Do you think that he can come back to life by using blood to induce the witchcraft? No, it's not like that. Madame Zhou shouted angrily. You followed me, no you just let me go on purpose. Shang Ruai smiled. If not, how could I find your hiding place? What do you mean when you said that the blood-attracting goo can't save my son's life? Shang Ruai smiled. Of course it means literally. She looked outside. Madame Zhou, don't you think that a blood-attracting goo can bring a person back to life? The figure outside the door paused, and Shang Ruai continued. As long as the curse on your son is not resolved, let alone the blood-attracting goo, even if the immortals in the sky come, they can't save him, but will make wedding dresses for others. As soon as she finished speaking, a red figure rushed in and slapped her on the back. Shang Ruai curled her lips and did not move. Ah Cheng appeared in front of her, drew out the long sword in his hand, and the sharp blade cut through her skin. Blood immediately flowed down her arm. Ah Cheng kicked her in the lower abdomen.
Puff.
A mouthful of blood spurted out, and Xiao Tao's body retreated backwards along the ground. A look of resentment flashed in her eyes. Who are you? Who are you? Who I am is not important. What really matters is who you are. Shang Ruai sneered. That spell. Was it your work? I am just a servant beside the lady. I don't know what spell you are talking about. She barely supported her body, and just as she moved, Ah Cheng's sword was across her neck. Don't move. Xiao Tao's been by my side since she was a child. How could she know spells? Madame Zhou said coldly. You want to alienate us, the master and the servant. What is your intention? I just want you to recognize a reality. She looked at Xiao Tao, smiled, and said, You said you don't know spells. Then who set the spell in this room? Xiao Tao's eyes flickered, and she whispered, What spell is there in the room? Soul-devouring curse.
What?
Madame Zhou's expression suddenly changed. Soul-devouring curse? How could there be a soul-devouring curse here? The soul-devouring curse is a secret method in southern Xinjiang. The birth date of the person under the curse is pasted on a puppet. The puppet has been soaked in blood for 9,981 days. After the birth date is pasted, a little blood is smeared on the puppet's head. A drop of blood is taken every 5 days, and then the hair of others is wrapped around the puppet. The life force of the person under the curse will be transferred to that person little by little. However, the soul-devouring curse is a curse that only exists in legends. Even in southern Xinjiang, few people know about it. Madame Zhou has only heard of it.
What are you talking about?
Madame Zhou looked at Shang Ruai and asked coldly. You killed young Master Zhou's biological mother with your witchcraft, didn't you? Madame Zhou nodded. So what? She took everything from me. She deserves to die. But you suffered the backlash of the poison. Shang Ruai whispered. I guess that lady realized she was poisoned and was discovered by you when she was trying to find a way to get rid of it. Yes, I took the opportunity when she returned to the Chao family to poison her. Her witchcraft is comparable to mine. If it weren't for Xiao Dao, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to let her die so easily. It's just that found out, and I was afraid she would get rid of the poison herself, so she directly killed the mother poison in my body. Even if it means losing 800 lives, I must take her life." The expression on Madame Zhou's face was extremely ferocious. Shang Ruai saw it and couldn't help but feel that she was very pathetic. She hoped that she would still be like this when the truth was revealed. "Later, you married into the Zhou family. Due to the backlash of the witchcraft, the child was born with a deep fetal poison and was weak." Shang Ruai walked forward slowly, looking at the baby in the cradle who seemed to be in death. But he shouldn't be so weak. So why did he become like this?
Why?
Mrs. Zhou thought of a possibility, and her heart skipped a beat. He has been cursed by the soul-devouring curse since he was born. Shang Ruai stepped forward, pointed to a red spot on his neck, and said, "It is best to smear the blood from the neck on the forehead. Madame Zhou must know that." Madame Zhou staggered, looked at the glaring red spot, and kept repeating, "Impossible. You are lying to me." "Why should I lie to you?" Shang Ruai sneered. "I just want to tell you that all these years, you have been living in the calculations of others." "No way. What the facts are, I am sure you will know once you ask." As Shang Ruai finished speaking, Madame Zhou's eyes fell on Xiao Tao. Xiao Tao's body trembled. "Madam, it's unfair." "Madam, here only you and I know." Madame Zhou walked forward slowly. Her sharp eyes seemed to be able to see through her. "Soul-devouring curse. What's going on?" "Madam, it must be her." Xiao Tao pointed at Shang Ruai. "She must have set it up in advance, just to alienate the two of us." Shang Ruai sneered. "This is my first time coming to the Zhou family today, and my first time meeting you guys. Miss Xiao Tao wants to frame you, but it may be a bit far-fetched." "Where is the evidence?" Xiao Tao whispered. "You said I cast the curse. Where is the puppet?" "You think you kept it secret?" She sneered, pointing to the north wall, and said, "Such private matters cannot be seen in the light, so you hid the puppet in the north wall." As soon as she finished speaking, Xiao Tao's face suddenly turned pale. Mrs. Zhou saw this and said tremblingly, "Why? I treated you well. Why did you do this?" Xiao Tao looked at her gloomily. "Why? Why did you say that? Have you forgotten? How did you save your life?" Mrs. Zhou was shocked when she heard this. You are that child." "That's my brother." "Back then, the master of the Chao family used the soul-devouring curse to exchange my brother's life for yours. He was also still in his infancy. Have you ever felt sorry for him? Have you ever had pity for him? Now, I just want you to pay for your blood debt with blood." "What's wrong with that?" Mrs. Zhou stepped back and forth and almost fell to the ground. There is no solution to the soul-devouring curse. She has never heard of anyone who can survive after being hit by this curse, unless that person is killed. "Who did you tie my son's life to?" Xiao Tao sneered. "A beggar on the street. I saw he was dying of illness, so I gave him a new life out of kindness."
Ha ha ha.
"You will never, ever be able to remove his curse." "I can remove it," Shang Ruai said calmly. "I can remove the soul-devouring curse." Mrs. Zhou, who was already on the verge of collapse, could not help but shudder.
Can you solve it?
She murmured. "Can you really solve it?"
Impossible.
Xiao Tao shouted. "How can you solve it?" "There is no solution to the soul-devouring curse," Shang Ruai said nonchalantly. "It's just some spells. I just happen to be very curious about spells and have studied them. The so-called spells are just a combination of witchcraft and goo." She came to the north wall, and Xiao Tao looked at her vigilantly. Shang Ruai walked to the only cabinet on the north wall. Xiao Tao's face was completely defeated. She really knew. The puppet was hidden in the wall behind the cabinet. How could this be possible? The north wall was so big. How did she determine that the puppet was hidden here? Shang Ruai squatted down and found that there were gaps around the bottom brick. She pulled out a dagger and pried the brick down along the gap.
Pa.
A puppet fell out from inside. Shang Ruai curled the corners of her lips. She found it. "Mrs. Zhou." She handed the puppet over. "Is this your son's birth date?" Mrs. Zhou took it and looked at it. Her heart sank. It was indeed her son's birth date, and the name he had chosen early in the morning, Zhou Wenbin. Her hands trembled, and her eyes fell on Xiao Tao not far away. Her eyes were about to burst. "It's you, it's really you." Before she finished her words, Madame Zhou rushed over, raised her hand, and slapped her face hard. "I trusted you so much, but you did such a thing. My child, he was still so young. What about my brother?"
He was also so young when he died.
Xiao Tao stared at her, no longer having to pretend to be respectful, and said fiercely, "I have been waiting for this day for a long time. Every day I look forward to seeing you like this today. You should experience the pain of having your fate manipulated by others, but unable to change it." Madame Zhou grabbed her with both hands, and her long nails pierced into her skin fiercely. "Don't blame me for being cruel if you treat me like this." A cry of pain came out of Xiao Tao's mouth, and a few white worms crawled out from the place where Madame Zhou grabbed her. Shang Ruai ignored the master and servant and looked around again. The reason why she sang this was actually because of Zhou Jingyao. After removing the poison, she also found traces of spells on him. Although it was not a strong and overbearing spell like the soul-devouring curse, it was also harmful to his body. She came here on the principle of sending the Buddha to the west. Shang Ruai looked around and scanned the walls. Since the space was upgraded, her eyes could see everything inside the bricks and stones. Because of this, she could easily find the puppet hidden in the bricks and stones. She looked around and found that there were no puppets or anything like that around the walls. Just when she was about to retract her gaze, she accidentally swept across the baby. It turned out to be here. There was a puppet in the baby's swaddling clothes. She quickly stepped forward and took out the puppet. Mrs. Zhou noticed her action, but it was too late to stop her.
"Put it down,"
she said sternly. "That is something that will extend my son's life. You can't take it away." "Witchcraft." Shang Ruai sneered, exerted force on her hands, and the puppet broke.
"Stop it."
Madame Zhou rushed forward like crazy, picked up the broken puppet from the ground, and cried heartbreakingly, "Child, my child. Your child is not dead yet. Why are you crying?" Shang Ruai whispered. Madame Zhou rolled and crawled to the bed, looked at the child, and it was just like usual, and she finally let go of her hanging heart. At this moment, she suddenly remembered Shang Ruai's words. "Mrs. Zhou knelt on the ground and begged, Divine Doctor, you just said that you can break the curse on my son. Is that true?" Shang Ruai nodded. "I can indeed break it, but why should I help you? As long as you are willing to help me, as long as you can save him, even if it costs my life, it's fine." She cried and said, "Please, please." Over the years, in order to save her son, she has thought of countless ways and also harmed countless lives. Parents love their children dearly, which is understandable, but you should never let your love for your son blind you and lose your mind. Shang Ruai said in a deep voice, "I can save him, but you, go to the government and turn yourself in." Mrs. Zhou heard this and nodded quickly. "I will go. As long as you can save him, I will immediately turn myself in." Shang Ruai looked at Ah Cheng. "Take them back to the Zhou family."
"Yes."
When they returned to the Zhou family, it was already bright, and the head of the Zhou family was shocked to see his child from more than 10 years ago. This, is it a monster?" Shang Ruai shook her head and explained the whole story clearly. Even so, the head of the Zhou family still couldn't accept it for a while. In this regard, Shang Ruai expressed her understanding. After all, no one would be so easy to accept seeing their child who had been dead for more than 10 years. At this time, Cinnabar had been placed in the room according to her request. Shang Ruai put cinnabar on the child's forehead, and the cinnabar was instantly absorbed by the skin and disappeared. Manager Zhou was standing by and was shocked to see the scene. Shang Ruai pierced the baby's fingertips, squeezed out a few drops of blood, mixed it with cinnabar, turned to Madame Zhou and said, "Madame Zhou, I guess you must have a lot of poisonous insects." Madame Zhou looked at the head of the Zhou family next to her and took out a porcelain bottle from her sleeve pocket, which contained 3 poisonous insects. The head of the Zhou family saw the poisonous insects rolling in the plate, and he felt nauseous for no reason. He held the door frame and kept retching. When he thought about sleeping with such a woman for more than 10 years, he felt even more disgusted and disgusted. He immediately ordered people to take Madame Zhou and her servant away and lock them up, waiting for the government to come and take them away. Shang Ruoyi put the 3 poisonous insects into the cinnabar plate, and soon, the 3 poisonous insects ate all the cinnabar and blood. Shang Ruoyi ordered someone to bring fire, roast the 3 poisonous insects dry, grind them into powder, and then dilute the powder with spiritual spring water and feed it to the baby. She left a little powder and smeared it on Zhou Jingyao's head. In an instant, his originally pale face became rosy. The baby's breathing was also much smoother than before. Seeing this, Manager Zhou asked softly, "Dr. Lingjun, are the 2 young masters' illnesses cured?" Shang Ruoyi looked at him and secretly admired him in her heart. Manager Zhou was really a smart person. He described the spells and poisons as illnesses, which made people feel much more comfortable. Just continue to adjust in the future. Shang Ruoyi took out some pills. The young master needs to dissolve it in warm water and take it twice a day, half a pill each time.
Thank you, doctor.
Manager Zhou smiled and said, "Speaking of which, Dr. Lingjun must have a destiny with our Zhou family." Shang Ruoyi smiled and thought to herself, "It is indeed fate. If my mother had not been blind, the head of the Zhou family would be my biological father now, and the head Zhou should call me Miss." At this time, the head of the Zhou family, who was pale from vomiting, walked in. Hearing that the 2 children's illnesses had recovered, his expression finally eased a lot. He walked forward, smiled, and said, "Child, head Zhou, and you are destined to be together." "I think so too. Why don't you just recognize me as your godfather?" Shang Ruoyi raised her eyebrows when she heard this. "Godfather?" Manager Zhou quickly agreed. "If that is true, it would be great." "Child, what do you think?" The head of the Zhou family said with a smile. "In this way, our Zhou family will have 3 young masters." Shang Ruoyi saw that what he said was from the heart and smiled softly. "It is an honor for the younger generation to be favored by Master Zhou, but I am afraid that I cannot become the 3rd young master of the Zhou family." Master Zhou thought she was refusing. Seeing that only Master Zhou and Manager Zhou were here, Shang Ruoyi took off the mask on her face. Her features were very similar to her mother's, which made Master Zhou and the other 2 stunned. After a long while, the head of Zhou family stammered, You are a woman?" Shang Ruoyi nodded and said, "There are inconveniences in being a woman. Please forgive me for concealing the truth before." The head of Zhou family was stunned, and it took him a long time to find his voice. "Forgive me, forgive me." "Oh, since the miracle doctor is a woman, then our Zhou family has 1 more young lady." Manager Zhou smiled and said, "The master said many years ago that it would be great if there was a precious jewel in the palm of the hand in the family. Now his wish has come true." It has to be said that Manager Zhou is a very discerning person. No wonder he can become the confidant of the head of Zhou family. "When Jingyao recovers, I will hold a big banquet to let everyone know that I have an amazing adopted daughter." Shang Ruoyi smiled and shook her head. "I am afraid that because of my identity, it is not convenient to tell the public now." "Yes, yes, yes." The head of the Zhou family patted his forehead. "Look at the brain of the adoptive father. In this case, just say that the genius Dr. Lingjun is my adopted son. When you want to restore your daughter, just tell your adoptive father. My Zhou family is also a well-known family in Bailing. If there is anyone who dares to bully you, just tell your adoptive father. I will never forgive him." Shang Ruoyi smiled, picked up the tea on the table, and offered it with both hands. "Junior Shang Ruoyi, meet the adoptive father." "Ruoyi, what a good name."
Ha ha ha.
The head of the Zhou family took the tea and drank it all. Shang Ruoyi took the pulse of the 2 young masters of the Zhou family again and prepared to say goodbye and leave after confirming that there was nothing wrong. Before leaving, the head of the Zhou family stuffed a token into her hand. "Ruoyi, take this token. With this token, as long as it is my Zhou family's property, you can mobilize people at will. The Zhou family is very powerful in Bailing. With this token, It is not an exaggeration to say that they can walk sideways in Biling. Thank you, Godfather. Zhang Ruai didn't expect that she just saved someone, but she ended up recognizing a godfather. The two returned to their residence and found that the door was open.
Huh?
Why is this door open? Ah Chung asked in confusion. It's so cold. Won't you freeze to death if the door is open? Zhang Ruai frowned. Xiaoyao is not such a carefree person. Her heart skipped a beat, and she hurried in. Where is Xiaorao in this room? Not only that, the room was extremely messy, and it was obvious that she was looking for something. You are really brave. There seemed to be ice in Zhang Ruai's voice. She wanted to make Madame Zhou think that she had left the Zhou residence, so she pretended to leave. On the way, she and Ah Chung turned back again, but Xiaoyao did come back in a carriage. After all, she didn't know martial arts, so it was inconvenient for her to go in and out of the Zhou family, so as not to be noticed by Madame Zhou. She didn't expect that someone would dare to do such a crime in broad daylight and set their sights on her people. They really didn't know how to live or die.
Miss Xiaoyao.
Ah Chung was anxious. Will something happen? Zhang Ruai's face was cold, and she said in a deep voice, This token from my godfather was given at the right time. She came to an iron shop, and there was a bright Zhou hanging on the sign. Zhang Ruai walked in and put the token on the table. Seeing this, the shopkeeper hurried forward. Young master. They had just received news that the adopted son of the owner of the family had a token of the master of the Zhou family in his hand. That adopted son must be the one in front of them. The master's adopted son is half his master, so he naturally has to do his best. Young master, what instructions do you have? Ah Chung handed over the portrait in his hand. Shopkeeper, have you seen this girl? The shopkeeper took it and looked at it for a long time. No. He put the portrait down and whispered, Young master, are you looking for this person? She is my maid, and now her whereabouts are unknown. Please help, shopkeeper, and let the brothers look for her. We must find her. When the shopkeeper heard it, he guessed the reason and hurriedly said, Young master, don't worry, I will arrange for my men to find her. In that case, thank you very much. I have to say that the Zhou family is indeed very powerful. The shopkeeper soon sent a message. Young master, someone saw the Zhang family taking a woman back. Zhang family? Zhang Qian? That's right. The shopkeeper whispered, Young master. Are you going to the Zhang family? Zhang Ruai sneered. It seems that it's time to teach that good-for-nothing Zhang Qian a lesson. Arriving at the Zhang family, Zhang Ruai winked at Ah Chung, and he came to the gate. The gatekeeper stepped forward. Hey, what are you doing? Ah Chung was too lazy to talk nonsense, and kicked the servant down. Seeing this, the other servants picked up their weapons and surrounded him.
Who are you?
Do you know where this is? Zhang Ruai snorted coldly. Tell Zhang Qian that his ancestors are here.
How dare you?
How dare you be so presumptuous at the door of my Zhang family? A servant waved his hand. Come on, tie them up, and wait for the young master to deal with them. As soon as the words fell, more than a dozen servants picked up their weapons and rushed towards Zhang Ruai. She narrowed her eyes slightly, and without waiting for Ah Chung and the Zhou family behind her to take action, she waved her hand, and dozens of silver needles suddenly shot out, hitting the arms of the Zhang family, without missing a single one. The needles were coated with medicine, and all the servants lay on the ground unconscious. Those who heard the noise and rushed over were shocked by the scene and ran to the backyard. At this time, Zhang Qian was sitting there with his legs crossed, eating snacks and drinking tea. How is it? Did you confess? Did you say where the 300,000 taels of silver notes are hidden? At this moment, the servant ran in a panic and said, Master, it's bad. Master? Someone is knocking on the door.
What?
Zhang Qian stood up suddenly. Who is so bold? How dare he come to my Zhang family to cause trouble? It's the man from Wanshihai that day. Zhang Qian stood up. Is it really that man? Absolutely true. The servant said worriedly. Master, what should we do? What should we do? Zhang Qian spat and said viciously. It's just right that you are here. That stinky girl refused to say it. Maybe she really doesn't know where the 300,000 taels are, but she is the master. She must know. When she comes here, even if she has 3 heads and 6 arms, she has to kowtow and call me grandpa. My Zhang family is not a place where she can come and go as she pleases. He sneered. Let's go. This young master will go to meet her in person. Zhang Qian didn't realize the seriousness of the matter and walked out first. At this time, Zhang Ruai had already arrived at the main hall. The head of the Zhang family had not returned, and the female family members were in chaos. Zhang Ruru saw that it was her, so she stepped forward and said, Sir, are you Li Xiaxia's cousin? Zhang Ruai kicked a servant to the ground, and her eyes fell on Zhang Ruru. So what? Sir, we have a deep friendship with the Li family. Are you going to disregard the friendship between the two families by doing this? Friendship? Zhang Ruai sneered. How ridiculous. It was obviously your Zhang family who did evil first. If there is any reason to disregard the friendship between the two families, it is also your Zhang family. What do you think? I'm afraid you have to ask the young master of your Zhang family. Ah Cheng was holding a long sword, with a few drops of blood flowing from the tip of the arrow. Seeing this, Zhang Ruru took a few steps back, fell down on the chair, and said in a trembling voice, What are you going to do? Are you trying to commit a crime here? Just then, Zhang Qian's figure appeared from the corner. He raised his chin, followed by several burly men. Someone, close the door for me. He looked at Zhang Ruai, his eyes full of excitement, as if he had already seen the 300,000 taels of silver. Brother. Zhang Ruru stepped forward. Brother, do you know them? Humph. Zhang Qian sneered and said, Know them. More than just know them. He walked past Zhang Ruru and came to Zhang Ruai. We are quite familiar with each other. Zhang Ruai curled the corners of her lips, her eyes full of sarcasm. Familiar. Indeed familiar. I haven't thanked Mr. Zhang for giving me such a good raw stone for such a low price. When Zhang Qian mentioned the raw stone, he gnashed his teeth with hatred. Thinking of what happened yesterday, he wanted to chop her with a knife, but when he thought of the 300,000 taels of silver, he held back. I wonder why Master Ling Jun came to our Li family today to beat and kill people? Zhang Qian waved her hand, and several burly men surrounded her. Those burly men looked ferocious, and even Zhang Ruru was a little scared. But when she thought of being ridiculed by her in public at the auction that day, she was like Zhang Qian, wishing that she would be beaten black and blue by those men. At this time, she didn't know about the 300,000 taels of silver. Mr. Zhang, are you asking this even though you already know the answer? Zhang Ruai narrowed her eyes and sneered. You broke into a private house and kidnapped my maid. I came here today to take her away and, by the way, to ask Mr. Zhang for some interest. Humph, don't slander me. When did I kidnap your maid? What evidence do you have? Zhang Qian sneered. It was you who brought these people to my Zhang family and beat up our Zhang servants. I will report it to the prefect and ask him to make the decision for me and seek justice for my Zhang family. At this moment, a voice was heard. You're doing mischief. The door of the Zhang family opened, and Jun Luoyan walked in with lotus steps. She looked at Zhang Ruai and sneered. Even if you are a miracle doctor, you are not qualified to break into other people's houses and injure servants. If you do this in our western regions, you will definitely be imprisoned. Zhang Ruai sneered. The princess also said that that is your western region. This is biling. Besides, I didn't beat your guards or servants. Why are you pointing fingers here? Could it be that the princess wants to marry into the Zhang family in the future? So she protects the Zhang family in every possible way? Jun Luoyan was so angry that his face turned blue. You dare to slander this princess? Slander? Zhang Ruai sneered. If you don't want others to gossip, don't do things that will cause misunderstandings. The princess acts like the head of the family. People who don't know would think you are the head of the Zhang family. You are talking nonsense. This princess has nothing to do with the Zhang family. Then shut up. Zhang Ruai rolled her eyes. Don't meddle in other people's business here. Jun Luoyan's chest heaved violently. His eyes were like knives. If his eyes could turn into swords, Zhang Ruai's body would have been riddled with holes. Seeing Jun Luoyun coming, Zhang Ruru hurried forward. Princess. Jun Luoyun glanced at her and said unhappily, "You are a person who is incapable of doing anything but always causes trouble. How come your Zhang family never has a moment of peace?" Zhang Ruru had a bitter face and had to smile. Zhang Ruai fixed her eyes on Zhang Qian. "Where is my maid? Hand her over, or I will destroy your Zhang family today." "What maid? I don't know what you are talking about." Zhang Qian looked like a rogue. "You are framing me. I can sue you. Don't cry until you see the coffin." Zhang Ruai sneered. "Why? Do you think I will let it go if you don't admit it? Even if I turn your Zhang family upside down today, I will take your person away." "You dare. See if I dare or not." She turned to Ah Chung and said, "Take the people to the backyard, and show no mercy to anyone who dares to stop us." Zhang Qian didn't expect that she would do this for a maid, and ordered his servants, "Stop them, life or death." Upon hearing this, the thugs surrounded them. Ah Chung swung a sword flower with the long sword in his hand, and the arms of the two big men were cut with a very deep wound, and they lost their combat effectiveness directly. Zhang Ruai pulled out a dagger at an extremely fast speed, and her figure shuttled among those thugs. In the blink of an eye, there was wailing on the ground. Zhang Qian's heart skipped a beat when he saw this. He never expected that this man in front of him, who looked much younger than himself, had such advanced martial arts. Zhang Ruru bit her lip, looked at Jun Luoyun, hardened her heart, and knelt directly in front of her. "Princess, please save us. Thieves have broken into the mansion. Please save our lives." Princess Luoyun was famous for being favored in the city king's mansion. When she came to Bailing, she must have been accompanied by masters for protection. At present, the only one who could save them was Jun Luoyun. Jun Luoyun glanced at her. Why would this princess save someone who has nothing to do with her? As the saying goes, lips and teeth are cold. I am afraid that the man will be bloodthirsty. It is not a pity for our Zhang family to die, but what if the princess is injured? What's more, my father has some friendship with your father, so please help us for these reasons. Jun Luoyun rolled her eyes and whispered, "A bunch of trash. They can't even deal with a lowly person, and this little thing still needs the help of my people." She waved her hand, and two inconspicuous men came out from behind her. "Don't waste my time, just solve it quickly." "Yes, I obey your order." The two men drew the long swords from their waists and rushed towards Zhang Ruai with great momentum. Feeling the two sharp swords, Zhang Ruai frowned slightly, turned around, stretched out the dagger in her hand, and collided with the two long swords, bursting out sparks. Zhang Ruai narrowed her eyes slightly. The martial arts of the two guards in front of her were not inferior to Ah Chung. She swept her eyes behind Jun Luoyun, and her pupils shrank slightly. Among those guards, there were two who were the most inconspicuous, but the momentum around them was more attractive than the other guards. Presumably, those two were the real secret guards protecting Jun Luoyun. At this time, the two guards attacked again. Zhang Ruai was not in a hurry. Since she had internal strength in her body, she had never had such a good fight with anyone. She turned the dagger in her hand, and each attack was extremely tricky. The two guards were beaten back step by step. Jun Luoyun saw it and frowned. Two waists. She turned her head and looked at the guards behind her. "You too?" "Yes." The four guards surrounded Zhang Ruai. Zhang Ruru saw this and hurriedly said, "The princess is surrounded by talented people. With these guards, we can definitely capture her." As soon as she finished speaking, a guard fell beside them. Zhang Ruru was so scared that she screamed. Jun Luoyun's face was livid, and he said to the guards behind him, "What are you still standing there for? Why don't you go over and help? A bunch of so many people can't even catch a brat. What use do I have for you?" Except for the two secret guards, the other guards drew their swords and rushed towards Zhang Ruai. Zhang Ruai felt extremely happy. The dagger in her hand flew, splashing a flower of blood, and was besieged by 8 guards, but she was not at all inferior. Everyone present had wonderful expressions on their faces. Jun Luoyun looked at the 2 secret guards behind him, and they nodded slightly. The next moment, Their bodies rushed out like an arrow from a bow. The hidden weapon in his hand was thrown out, and several sleeve arrows flew toward Zhang Ruai at lightning speed. Zhang Ruai dodged it, and the silver needle in her hand popped out, knocking those sleeve arrows to the ground. Each silver needle pierced the sleeve arrow, which shows how powerful it is. "Young master is very skilled," said a secret guard.
Thank you.
The two secret guards stood opposite her. Seeing this, the other guards picked up the daggers on the ground and returned to Jun Luoyun in shame. "I am not doing my job well. Please punish me, princess." Useless person. As Jun Luoyun finished speaking, the guards' faces suddenly turned pale. Every time the princess said these words, the man's end was extremely miserable and basically became the princess's medicine man. The two secret guards looked at each other, wielding their long swords and stabbing at Zhang Ruai. After more than a dozen rounds, Zhang Ruai's dagger slashed the shoulders of the two secret guards, but her left shoulder was kicked by one of the secret guards, and she took a few steps back before she could stand. Jun Luoyun's complexion finally improved a little, and she sneered. "Aren't you a good fighter? Let's see what you can do this time," she said to the two secret guards. "No matter life or death, it's best to kill her directly." The injured secret guard turned around and bowed to Jun Luoyun, saying, "Princess, before we came out this time, the prince instructed us not to cause trouble. I am only responsible for protecting your safety, and I must never kill anyone." Jun Luoyun's face suddenly darkened, and she said in a deep voice, "When is it your turn to point fingers at my actions? These two people are tired of losing face in front of so many people. How dare you disobey my words? When I return to the palace and report to my father, I will take your lives. Princess, we are the prince's secret guards, and even the prince cannot convict us." He bowed and stood behind her, without a hint of flattery at all. "Rebellion! Rebellion!" Zhang Ruai raised her eyebrows slightly when she heard that. Jun Ziqian's secret guards have such personalities? They are very similar to their master. She took out 2 porcelain bottles and threw them into their hands. Medicine for wounds. The 2 secret guards were stunned for a moment, then bowed and said, "Thank you, young master." Jun Luoyun frowned. "You two are traitors. How dare you ignore the words of this princess?" At this moment, Ah Cheng's voice came. "Young master, young master." Found it. He came running over with Xiaoyao, who was covered in wounds. "Young master," they tortured Xiaoyao. Zhang Ruai's eyes fell on Xiaoyao, and she saw that many of her scars were left by whipping. Her dress was stained with blood, and there were traces of being strangled by a rope on her neck.
"Sir,"
Xiaoyao said weakly, "They suddenly broke into the house yesterday, kidnapped me, and asked me the whereabouts of the 300,000 taels of silver. I didn't tell them, so they used private punishment." "I know." She took off her cloak and covered her, and took out a pill to feed her. "Acheng, take her to the side to rest."
"But
"If you touch my people, you have to pay a price." Zhang Ruai's aura suddenly changed, like a shura, which made people tremble. "What do you want to do?" Zhang Qian swallowed his saliva. "This is the Zhang family, not a place where you can do whatever you want. Didn't you say you didn't bring her back?" Zhang Ruai took out a pistol, pointed the dark hole at his knees, and pulled the trigger neatly before everyone could react. Such a loud noise made everyone shrink their necks.
"Ah, leg."
"My leg!" Zhang Qian cried out while holding his left leg. "My leg!" Zhang Ruai sneered, walked slowly to his side, raised her foot, and stepped heavily on his injured knee. "Master Zhang, you haven't answered my question yet." She smiled at the corners of her lips, but her eyes were as cold as ice for thousands of years. "You should never, never, never touch my people." Zhang Qian couldn't even speak because of the pain and could only scream. Zhang Ruai shook her head and crushed his knee with her foot a few times. "Master Zhang, it seems that you didn't hear what I said just now clearly." Zhang Qian shook his head. "I heard it clearly. Since you heard it, why didn't you answer?" She didn't stop, and Zhang Qian cried out in pain. "I was wrong, I was wrong." Zhang Ruai heard him say this and sneered. "Now you know you are wrong? It's too late." As soon as he finished speaking, he stepped harder, and with his leg bone broke. The intense pain made Zhang Qian's eyes roll back, and he fainted. Everyone present was stunned by the scene before their eyes. What kind of monster was in her hand? It could actually spit out flames. Zhang Ruru was so scared that she fell to the ground, looking at her brother's miserable condition, fearing that Zhang Ruai would use the same method on herself. Jun Luoyun's face was also extremely ugly. She never expected that there would be such a powerful hidden weapon. She had never seen such a powerful firearm. At this moment, the door was opened, and a middle-aged man hurried in. Seeing Zhang Qian lying on the ground, he couldn't help but said angrily, "Hey, what's going on?" The followers behind him hurried forward and helped him up. A sharp pain came from his knee. Zhang Qianbian woke up with a cry of pain. Seeing the man in front of him, he hurriedly shouted, "Dad! Help, Dad!"
She.
He pointed at Zhang Ruai with trembling hands. "She wants to kill me." Zhang Nian turned to look at Zhang Ruai and said angrily, "Do you know who you have offended?" "Humph, it's just the Bailing Zhang family. Since you know my Bailing Zhang family." Before he could finish, she sneered, "What is there to be afraid of?" "What?" Zhang Nian's face was stern, and he said angrily, "Young man, don't be so arrogant. Otherwise you won't know how you died." Zhang Ruai played with a pistol in one hand, and a disdainful smile appeared at the corner of her lips. "I will return this sentence to Master Zhang intact. Don't take advantage of the fact that you are a child of aristocratic family and ignore other people's lives. If you offend people you shouldn't offend, you won't know how you died." "You!" Zhang Nian's eyes fell on Xiaorao behind her, and his brows were slightly frowned. After dealing with Zhang Qian and bringing Xiaorao back, the anger in her heart subsided slightly, and Zhang Ruai turned around and wanted to leave. "Keep your eyes open next time." Seeing that she was about to leave, Zhang Nian's eyes flashed with murderous intent. "Who do you think you are, and what do you think of my Zhang family? Can you come and go as you please?" He waved his hand, and saw a group of densely packed archers surrounding the courtyard wall, with cold arrows pointing at Zhang Ruai and others. "If you hurt my young master of the Zhang family, you must be prepared to leave your life here." "Really?" Zhang Ruai sneered. "In that case, I won't be polite." "Shoot!" Zhang Nian's voice had just fallen, and the archers hadn't had time to shoot arrows. "I saw several black objects being thrown around. What is this?" Jun Luoyan just asked, and then he heard boom boom boom. Violent shocks came from all directions, the surrounding walls collapsed, and countless wailing came into his ears. "What's wrong? Is it an earthquake?" It collapsed. It collapsed. The wall collapsed. The house collapsed too. "Help, help." Jun Luoyan was protected by 2 secret guards behind him, so he was not affected, but Zhang Ruru didn't have such good luck. She was covered in dust, and her originally black hair became like a chicken coop, messy and emitting black smoke. The courtyard wall, which was thought to be indestructible, collapsed into ruins, and everyone in the Zhang family was stunned. What happened? Could it be an earthquake? But how could an earthquake produce flames? They looked around and saw that other houses around them did not collapse. Only the courtyard wall of their Zhang family collapsed. Could it be those black things just now? Zhang Nian looked at Zhang Ruai in horror.
Who is she?
At this moment, a team of guards surrounded the Zhang family. Zhang Nian seemed to have seen a savior and hurried to meet him. Sir, help, help. A thief broke into the mansion and wants to massacre our Zhang family. Sir. Before he could finish, Sir Qian walked past him and quickly came to Zhang Ruai. Zhang Nian thought that Lord Qian was here to support him, and his originally bent back straightened instantly. With Lord Qian here, their Zhang family will definitely be saved. This arrogant and conceited brat, he must make her pay the price, and she must be 100 times and 1,000 times more miserable than his own son. Before the smug smile on his face could expand, he saw Lord Qian raised his hands and bowed to the culprit from a distance. The hands are here before the person arrives. This is a move that only people who respect themselves very much will make. "Are you the divine Dr. Lingjun?" Lord Qian said respectfully. "I am Qianjin, the prefect of the capital." "Qianjin?" This name is really rich. It's me. I wonder if Lord Qian has any advice? She had never dealt with officials from Bailing and didn't know why he knew her, but seeing that he didn't have any ill intentions, her attitude was naturally better. Qianjin raised a flattering smile on his face. No, no. Why are you here? Zhang Ruai glanced at the pale-faced head of the Zhang family. The young master of the Zhang family broke into my house without any reason, kidnapped my maid, and lynched her. I wonder if such behavior is illegal? As soon as she finished speaking, the head of the Zhang family, Zhang Nian, walked over quickly. Just as he stood still, he was tripped by a fallen pillar and fell to the ground. Ouch! Ouch! I fell to death. He stood up, limped to the front of Lord Qian, and said with a bow, Lord, it's unjust, unjust. He pointed at Zhang Ruai and said, Look at my son. She beat him to such a state. She broke into our Zhang family and severely injured my son. Look at the surroundings of our Zhang family, what she has done to them. This is our century-old house. Qianjin looked around, his beard trembling a few times, and was secretly shocked. This Lingjun master is really not an ordinary person. He has tossed the Zhang family into such a state with his own strength. The leg of the young master of the Zhang family has been deformed, and it is estimated that he can't save it. Fortunately, he did not offend her. As early as when the Zhang family came to report the case, he received warnings from many parties. No matter what, this Lingjun doctor is an existence that he cannot afford to provoke. He would rather abandon the Zhang family than offend her. Your son is a naughty boy. It doesn't matter if he is disabled. Besides, it was your son who was at fault in the first place. He had nothing better to do than to rob a maid from someone else's house. He even resorted to private acts. A man actually laid hands on a woman. If anyone knows about it, I will be ashamed for you. Zhang Nian never expected that Lord Qian would say this.
Sir.
It's unjust, unjust. What do you mean it's unjust? The person is lying here. Do you think I am blind? At this moment, Zhang Ruru ran to Lord Qian with a head like a chicken coop. Sir, please make a decision. I don't know what kind of sorcery that thief used to make our Zhang family look like this. The head of the Zhang family looked at her for a long time before recognizing that this was his legitimate daughter Zhang Ruru. He was exhausted and said to the maid next to him, Why don't you take the young lady back quickly? How can she look like this? Zhang Ruru didn't know that she had become like this. When she was taken back to the backyard by the maid, she was shocked and screamed when she saw her own face in the bronze mirror. She rolled her eyes and fainted. The scream was so loud that it could be heard clearly in the front yard. Zhang Ruai's lips curled up slightly, and the head of the Zhang family's face turned pale and his whole body trembled uncontrollably. Master Qian, she caused trouble in my Zhang family and injured my son and many servants. If she is allowed to walk out of the gate of my Zhang family intact, how can my Zhang family gain a foothold in this Bailing capital in the future? At this moment, a familiar voice came. I wonder what the Zhang family leader wants to do to the young master of our Zhou family? Manager Zhou walked forward, walked straight past Qianjin and Zhang Nian, came to Zhang Ruai, bowed and said, Young master, I am late. Manager Zhou, there is no need to be polite. Zhang Ruai smiled. Presumably the owner of the iron shop told her adoptive father. Zhang Nian's face couldn't help but look a little ugly. How could this young Master Lingjun be related to the Zhou family? As the largest family in the capital of Bailing, the Zhou family is not comparable to their Zhang family. Lord Qian smiled. Manager Zhou, with your humble official here, how could I let the young master of your family be bullied? The first family to give him a warning was the Zhou family. The Zhou family had a close relationship with Lord Qian. Qianjin could not sit in his current position without the help of the Zhou family, so he naturally obeyed the words that the head of the Zhou family sent to him. I wonder if this genius Dr. Lingjun belongs to the head of the Zhou family. He is the adopted son of our head of the family. So that's it. Although he is an adopted son, his status is not comparable to that of ordinary people. At this moment, a voice came from the collapsed door again. You dare to move my grandson? I think you Zhang family are tired of living. The head of the Li family said with full energy, and the old man walked in quickly with a group of guards. Seeing Shang Ruai, he hurried forward. Child, have you been bullied in this Zhang family? Tell Grandpa. Grandpa chopped him off. Everyone couldn't help but frown. Grandpa, do you look at your grandson? Does she look like she has been bullied? She is standing here intact, and then look at the Zhang family, and everyone in the Zhang family, especially the young master of the Zhang family, who is half dead on the ground. Who bullied whom? You are so strong. Why are your eyesight so bad?
Shang-Ruai smiled. Grandpa, I'm fine.
I'm glad you're fine. The old man glared at the head of the Zhang family. If anyone bullies my grandson, I will definitely fight him to the death. Seeing that she was protected by so many people, Jun Luoyun was very jealous. She coughed. The courtyard was originally very quiet. After she made a sound, people's eyes naturally fell on her. Seeing this, the head of the Zhang family's eyes lit up. Yes. How could he forget Princess Luoyun? He hurriedly walked in front of Jun Luoyun and bowed. I'm sorry to scare Princess Luoyun. Jun Luoyun snorted coldly. This princess has not been to Bailing for many years. I never expected that the atmosphere in Bailing would become what it is now. She shook off the dust on her body, walked down the steps, and said contemptuously, someone actually turned black and white so upside down, and the court officials also didn't know right from wrong, bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Her few words actually scolded everyone present. Lord Qian's face darkened. Princess Luoyun? How come he had never heard of any prince's daughter with this title in Bailing? Shang Ruai sneered. Princess Luoyun, you are a princess from the western regions. What qualifications do you have to comment on my behavior? I am not from your western regions. From the western regions? Lord Qian raised his eyebrows slightly. There is only one princess in the western regions, and that is the adopted daughter of the king of the city in the western regions. Could it be the one in front of him? But what the divine Dr. Lingjun said was absolutely right. Even if it was really her, what would it matter? This is Bailing, not the western regions. The adopted daughter of the king of the city is not a prince or a princess, so what should he be afraid of? Thinking of this, Lord Qian just glanced at her and ignored her. Where has Jun Luoyun been treated like this? In the past, in the western regions, no matter where she went, she was always the center of attention. Everyone knew that her father doted on her. Who would dare to offend her without a long eye? Now, she was ignored like this. She couldn't help but get angry. At this time, Shang Ruai smiled, looked at Jun Luoyun and said, I don't know how I offended the princess, and she asked her guards to kill me just now. What? When the old man of the Li family heard this, he was like his eyebrows were burned by fire, staring at Jun Luoyun and said, I don't know how my child of the Li family offended the princess, and the princess wanted to kill her. If the princess can't explain it, I will go to Xiling to ask the prince for an explanation even if I risk my life. Shang Ruai looked at the old man standing in front of her, and her heart moved slightly. She is an eyesore to this princess, and this is the reason. She sneered and said, she is just a lowly person. Can't this princess deal with it? When everyone heard what she said, their faces changed several times. Shang Ruai stepped forward and sneered and said, it turns out that in the eyes of the princess, human life is like grass. Jun Luoyun glanced at her, and his anger became even greater. All the raw stones she bought yesterday were broken into pieces, and each one turned out to be a big white stone. She had completely become the laughingstock of Wancheshai. So what? She sneered. People are born with noble and humble status. This princess is a noble body, and those lowly people are all lowly bodies. Even if this princess deals with them, what's the harm? Noble? Shang Ruai looked at her with amusement. You are just an adopted daughter. Where does your sense of superiority come from? You say you are a noble body, then please tell me, princess, which drop of blood in your body is noble. Her fig leaf was lifted, and Jun Luoyun's face turned pale. You, she said to the guards behind her. Tear her mouth apart for this princess. At this moment, a sneer came. Oh, Who has offended our Princess Luoyun again? Nan Charan tapped his palm with a folding fan and walked in leisurely. Behind him followed several guards in black. Upon closer inspection, the guards were dressed exactly like the two secret guards standing behind Jun Luoyun.
Jun Luoyun's pupils shrank suddenly.
Brother's secret guards. When did Nan Charan follow his brother? He looked around the Zhang family. Miserable. So miserable. He walked to Zhang Qian and stopped, looking at his still bleeding knee, and sighed. As if with some regret, he said, "It's useless. This leg is really useless." Nan Charan said it was a pity, but there was no trace of regret in his tone or expression. The head of the Zhang family frowned deeply and said in a low voice, "Who are you? What are you doing in my Zhang family?" Nan Charan shrugged. His eyes fell on Zhang Ruai. He nodded almost inaudibly, then looked at Jun Luoyun, sneered and said, "I am ordered to take the princess back." Under orders? Jun Luoyun's heart sank, and he whispered, "Whose orders? I thought the princess knew it." Nan Charan sneered. "Princess, I advise you not to provoke people you shouldn't provoke." Jun Luoyun clenched his fists tightly. She naturally knew whose orders Nan Charan followed, but how could she be willing to accept it? She had spent so many years trying not to get close to her brother, and now he was warning her for such an irrelevant person. "Nan Charan, you are just a... So, what if your Nan family is named after the Northern Prince's mansion? Who in the court or the country recognizes your Northern Prince's mansion? How dare you talk to me like this? When we return to the palace, I will let my father punish you for your disrespect." Hearing this, Nan Charan scratched his ears. "Besides this method, do you have any other ways to discipline people?" For so many years, all he did was complain. Others didn't know why the city king adopted her, but they knew it very well. If it weren't for this face, the king of city would probably not even look at her. Now her appearance has changed a lot from when she was a child, and the king of city doesn't like her as much as before. Because of this, she traveled thousands of miles from the western regions to Bailing, just to bid for the rare purple oriental pearl to celebrate his birthday. Nan Charan pointed at the guards behind him and said with a smile, "It is obvious whose orders I am following. If the princess disobeys, I will forcibly take you away." Jun Luoyun bit her lower lip and said in a deep voice, "Nan Charan, the princess has remembered what happened today. You just wait for me, and we will see what happens." Nan Charan looked at the guards and the two secret guards behind her and said in a deep voice, "The princess is making trouble. Not only did you not try to dissuade her, but you also helped her to do evil. All the accompanying guards will be punished to the warehouse and will not be allowed to leave for 3 years. The two of you will be punished with 50 sticks and demoted 2 levels." The guards had miserable expressions on their faces, but they dared not disobey. The two secret guards lowered their brows and accepted the punishment. At this moment, Zhang Ruai whispered, "Let's just forget about the two of them. I didn't use any heavy hands on them and they were still injured by my dagger. Besides, when the princess asked them to continue fighting me, they didn't make a move." Upon hearing this, Nan Charan couldn't help but look at her a few more times. He didn't expect that she would be so tolerant of the two of them with the way she usually treated him. He felt a little unhappy in his heart, and the look in his eyes when he looked at the two of them became even more ferocious. But since she has spoken, I must give her face. I believe that even if Aegon were here, he would do the same. Forget it, since you're already injured. You won't be punished. Jun Luoyun was shocked when he heard this. I didn't expect that this Mr. Lingjun could actually order Nan Charan around. Upon hearing this, the two secret guards could not hide their shock even though they had long since trained themselves to not show their emotions. She would actually plead for them? "Thank you for your forgiveness, sir." "No need." Zhang Ruai smiled. "It's not your fault. You just followed the wrong master." Nan Charan couldn't help but sneered. "This is the miracle Dr. Lingjun." Jun Luoyun's face turned pale. Her eyes fell on the guards behind her who had bitter faces, and her anger grew even greater. The head of the Zhang family looked between them for a few times, and he knew in his heart that this man named Nan Charan must be of great importance, and even the princess had to avoid him. At this moment, Lord Qian seemed to suddenly remember something, and his eyes suddenly lit up when he looked at him. He quickly stepped forward, walked to Nan Charan, bowed and said, "Your Excellency is the Prince of the City King." Lord Qian. Before he could finish, Nan Charan interrupted him. "Lord Qian, when I have time, I will visit you at your house." Okay, if you come, I will definitely make you welcome." Lord Qian's attitude surprised everyone present. They thought he was very careful with the Zhou family, but now it seems that this man named Nan Charan is more powerful than the Zhou family, and there is also the person behind him. Jun Luoyun followed Nan Charan away, and the Zhang family became completely isolated and helpless. Zhang Qian had already fainted from the pain. The head of the Zhang family had a gloomy expression on his face, but he didn't dare to say a word. Lord Qian came up to Shang Ruoyi with an even brighter smile on his face than before. "Divine Dr. Lingjun, I'm sorry to have frightened you today. The person who started this incident will be punished severely." He turned a look at the head of the Zhang family. His face suddenly turned cold. "Master Zhang, your son Zhang Qian broke into people's houses, abducted women, used private weapons, openly attacked people when they came to his house, and hired thugs privately. Now he is punished for multiple crimes and should have been thrown directly into death row. However, considering the merits of your ancestors and the Zhang family, I will give him a lighter punishment and give him 50 lashes of the cane as a warning to others. Do you agree?" Master Zhang was shocked. 50 lashes of the cane. How is this any different from taking his son's life? "Sir, please forgive me. My son has been seriously injured and cannot be punished like this." The head of the Zhang family knelt on the ground, pulled Sir Qian's collar, and said, "Sir, my son is also a victim. Look at his legs." Sir Qian's face was extremely ugly. He looked at Zhang Yan with impatience and thought to himself, "Is the head of the Zhang family not mentally ill? I thought for a long time before finding a reason to give him a lighter punishment, but he was still not satisfied. Don't you even look at which ancestor your son has offended? That's the miracle, Dr. Lingjun. Is this someone the Zhang family can afford to offend? Master Zhang, I have already given a lighter punishment. If this matter gets out of hand, I'm afraid your Zhang family won't be able to bear it." As soon as Lord Qian finished speaking, Zhang Yan's face suddenly turned ugly. He looked at Shang Ruoyi in fear. He truly understood how powerful this person's background was. At this point, he has to admit it even if he doesn't want to. "Sir, can we wait until his leg injury heals before executing him?" The head of the Zhang family said earnestly. Qian Jin really wanted to give face to the head of the Zhang family. After all, the Zhang family was a well-known family in Bailing, and he might be able to use his talent in the future. He glanced at Shang Ruoyi's face obscurely and saw that she was looking at the unconscious Zhang Qian fiercely. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the look in her eyes wanted to eat him. He hurriedly said, "No. His behavior is so evil that he must be severely punished on the spot." Shang Ruoyi raised the corners of her lips slightly when she heard this. This Lord Qian really has a good eye. Zhang Qian was unconscious, but he was awakened by the beating. He screamed for a while and then fainted again. The head of the Zhang family was very distressed. The more distressed he was, the deeper his hatred for Shang Ruoyi was. Shang Ruoyi watched the 50 beatings and bowed to Lord Qian and said, "Thank you, Lord Qian, for today. No need to thank me. This is what I should do." Although he didn't know what kind of extraordinary identity and background this divine Dr. Lingjun had, he was protected by so many forces, and he must not be someone he could afford to provoke. After leaving the Zhang family, Shang Ruoyi handed 2 porcelain bottles to Manager Zhou, which contained pills with the effect of prolonging life. "Master Zhou, please take these pills to my adoptive father." Master Zhou took the porcelain bottle and said with a smile on his face, "The head of the family has already known about what happened in the Zhang family today. Our head of the family said that this grievance will not be suffered by the young master." Shang Ruoyi understood the meaning of these words. The Zhang family had no chance of winning against the Zhou family. She took out another porcelain bottle and put it in Master Zhou's hand. "This is..." Shang Ruoyi smiled. This is naturally for Manager Zhou.
Oh.
This pill is so valuable. How dare I accept it? Manager Zhou refused. You should keep this pill. It's just a few pills. Shang Ruai put it in his palm. Manager is the most capable person around my adoptive father. Only if you are healthy can you share my adoptive father's worries for a long time. Hearing this, Manager Zhou's smile became more sincere. In this case, I would like to thank you first, young master. After sending Manager Zhou away, she and the old man of the Li family were left. The old man looked at her from front to back again and was relieved to confirm that she was really not injured. Child, the Zhang family is nothing. Don't pay attention to them. Our Li family is no worse than their Zhang family. When Grandpa finds an opportunity, he will definitely give them a good beating. Even if there is no opportunity, he must find a way to create some opportunities. Shang Ruai smiled. Grandfather, then I thank you very much. At this time, in the manor outside the city,
Yun Luyun forlod Nanshuan to Yun Sikianes house.
after a few days of recuperation, he found that his legs were more and more sensitive to the outside world, and his toes could move slightly. It seems that it won't be long before he can recover to his peak.
Akyon.
Nan Charn walked in and said, Your sister. When the word sister came out of his mouth, he saw two murderous eyes falling on him, and he quickly changed his words. That Jun Luoyun has been brought back. Bring her here. His tone was full of anger. This Jun Luoyun did not take his warning seriously at all. Jun Luoyun walked in and said softly, Brother, you must know that young Master Ling Jun and I have some friendship. Jun Ziqian didn't look at her directly and said lightly, Are you doing this on purpose? Brother, it was obviously Ling Jun. She knew my identity, but she competed with me again and again. It is obvious that she doesn't take our Qinglong mansion seriously. Jun Ziqian sneered. You can only coax a 3-year-old child with such words. Even his father was extremely disgusted with her tricks. Brother. She frowned. Her eyes red and tears were about to drip out. Jun Ziqian lowered his eyes and said in a low voice, You are not young anymore. You are plain-looking, and you don't have much knowledge. What future can you have if you hang out with a bunch of unpresentable little sisters like you all day long? His tone was flat, but the oppressive feeling in it made her shudder. I'm not afraid of anything else. The only thing I'm afraid of is that the parents of those girls will come to our city prince's mansion and argue, saying that their daughters were led astray by the princess. Jun Luoyun's already ugly face turned even paler when he heard this. Her body trembled slightly, and she whispered, Brother, in your eyes, is Luoyun such a despicable person? This prince does not care who you are. It was my father who brought you back. Even if you are ruined, it should be my father's concern. He finally looked up at her. But if you do anything to disgrace our family, don't blame me for being ruthless. He looked at her coldly. Although our city prince's mansion is not as noble as the imperial family, it also has a very upright family style. Put away your dark and vicious thoughts. If there is a next time, even if my father does not want, I will kick you out of the mansion. He waved his hand and said to Nan Charn outside the door, Send someone to send her back to the palace. From now on, you are not allowed to step out of the yard without my permission. Jun Luoyun's body was shaky, and he fell to the ground, looking at him in disbelief. Brother, how can you put me under house arrest? Don't call me brother. He frowned. I don't have a sister. Nan Charn walked in and pouted. Princess, let's go. Jun Luoyun slowly stood up and looked at Jun Ziqian. The fists hidden in his sleeves had been clenched tightly, and the long nails were embedded in the flesh. The palms were already bloody. Seeing that he was determined to punish her, Jun Luoyun had to turn around and leave. After she left, Jun Ziqian put down the book in his hand and said lightly, A genius doctor, don't take the public road, but have to be a gentleman on the beam? Shang Ruai didn't expect that she would be discovered after just listening for a while. Flying into the yard, the secret guards guarding near the house were shocked. How did this person come? How did he hide so well? Fortunately, it was Ling Jun, the genius doctor. If it was any other villain, they would be blamed for it even if they died. Shang Ruai touched the tip of her nose, smiled, and said, I heard your conversation between brother and sister. How can I interrupt you? For some reason, she always felt a little close to the person in front of her, as if she had known him for a long time, and her words were more intimate than those to others. I came here today just to take a look at your legs. I wonder who taught Dr. Lingjun all these medical skills?
Why?
Shang Ruai pouted. You think my treatment is not good enough and want to call my master to treat you?
No.
Jun Zigan had a rare smile on his lips. Dr. Lingjun's medical skills have reached the pinnacle, but I want to know which master can teach a disciple like you. At this time, Nan Charan walked in, and when he heard Jun Zigan's words, he couldn't help but stand at the door in a daze. This expressionless man can laugh. And can he joke? Is he suffering from some kind of hysteria? He swallowed his saliva and looked at Shang Ruai again. What was so special about her that made this man with paralysis look at her differently? Shang Ruai examined him and said with a smile, Your Highness is recovering well. Just keep soaking in the water for a while, and your leg will recover. Jun Zigan saw Nan Charan standing at the door. The smile on his face disappeared instantly. Nan Charan, what? Do I look disgusting? Shang Ruai took out a few porcelain bottles and handed them to him. Thank you, Prince, for sending people to rescue us today. I will remember your kindness in my heart. She put the porcelain bottle on the table. This black porcelain bottle contains detoxification pills, and the other pills are nourishing. You almost went crazy before, and your leg meridians were blocked. In fact, the meridians in various parts of the body have been damaged to varying degrees. These pills will help your body recover. Jun Zigan's eyes flashed with warmth. Thank you. Nan Charan walked forward and said angrily, Where's mine? Yours what? Shang Ruai looked at his outstretched hand, smiled, and said, Are your meridians blocked too? A few silver needles suddenly emerged from her fingertips and gently pricked his palm.
Ouch!
Nan Charan exclaimed in shock. It would be fine if you didn't give it to me, but why do you repay kindness with evil? He wanted to complain about something else, but his eyes fell on the blood flowing from his palm, and the words that were about to come out stopped abruptly. Why is this black blood? Shang Ruai glanced at him and said, He boasted of his martial arts skills and intelligence, but he didn't even know he was poisoned. Poisoned? How is it possible? I haven't had any contact with anyone else today. How could I be poisoned? Nan Charan said coldly. Never had contact? No, I just went to Zhang's house and brought Jun Luoyun back. His words stopped abruptly. Jun Zigan frowned slightly, and the corners of his lips, which were originally raised, fell down. Jun Luoyun likes to study medicine. The whole city prince's mansion knows about it, and no one stops her. After all, studying medicine and curing diseases and saving lives is a good thing. Her father even hired a famous doctor for her. The medical book he gave to Shang Ruai before was actually what his father asked him to find for that famous doctor. However, it would not be good if she started studying poison techniques. As the saying goes, medicine and poison are inseparable. Perhaps Jun Luoyun has already started studying poison techniques, but they just don't know it. Jun Luoyun actually poisoned me. Nan Charan said coldly. Women have the most vicious hearts. I have no grudges against her, but she actually poisoned me. No grudges? Shang Ruai sneered. Not necessarily. Nan Charan touched the tip of his nose. I just reminded her kindly and didn't say anything else. He looked at Shang Ruai and asked in a low voice, What poison did she give me? It shouldn't be fatal. 7 days powder. Shang Ruai said slowly, It's not a fatal disease. That's not bad. It will take 7 days to die.
Puff.
Nan Charan spit out a mouthful of tea. 7 days? You can live in 7 days? Shang Ruai nodded. Otherwise, why is it called 7 days powder? Then I will. He spread out his palms and saw black blood beads constantly oozing out of the places where the silver needles had pierced. Let it flow. When the blood turns red, it will be detoxified. She took out a pill and threw it to him. It's for detoxification. Just as he was about to swallow it, he heard Shang Ruai say slowly, 50,000 taels of silver. Nan Charan quickly closed his mouth and looked at the pill in his hand. How much? 50,000 taels? Yes, compared with young Master Nan's life, these 50,000 taels of silver don't seem to be a big deal. Shang Ruai raised a big smile. How is it? Is it worthwhile? The corners of Nan Charan's lips twitched for a long time, looking at the pill between his fingertips, as if he saw the white silver going away from him, and he felt very distressed. Seeing that he was reluctant to take the pill, Shang Ruai said with a smile, Master Nan, if you don't take this pill, its effectiveness will be greatly reduced. By then, you may need to buy another one. Nan Charan was shocked when he heard this, and quickly swallowed the pill in his hand. This is 50,000 taels of silver. If I buy another one, it will cost 100,000 taels. By then, it won't just be heartache, but pain all over the body. Shang Ruai's gaze fell on Jun Zigan's face again, and an inexplicable sense of familiarity came over her again. She must have seen this face somewhere. Just then, a guard came over. He was holding a tray with a silver mask on it. Prince, your mask has been repaired. Jun Zigan nodded. Put it down. Shang Ruai looked at the half mask, which was somewhat similar to her own. Seeing her eyes fall on the mask, Jun Zigan explained softly. My identity makes it inconvenient for me to be outside, so I often wear a mask. He picked up the mask and put it on his face. Shang Ruai couldn't help but stand there in a daze. This. She finally knew where that familiar feeling came from. After Jun Zigan put on the mask, their exposed chins and lips were surprisingly 90% similar, and his face was somewhat similar to his own, except that his eyebrows and eyes were more heroic. Not only Shang Ruai noticed this, but Nan Charan also saw it. If you say that you two are biological brothers, someone will definitely believe it. Nan Charan blinked and shook his head. I guess this is fate. Jun Zigan said nothing, but the emotions in his eyes were a little complicated. After leaving the manor, Shang Ruai went straight back to the Li family. Without saying hello to anyone, she went straight back to the room, locked the door, and slipped into the space. She spread out her palms, and a few strands of black hair appeared in her palms. She pulled out a few strands of hair from her head and went to the laboratory, where she compared her hair samples with Jun Zigan's hair. After a long time, when she saw the data displayed on the machine, her eyebrows twitched fiercely. They are actually brother and sister.
How could that be?
How is that possible? If it is said that blood test for kinship has no scientific basis, then there will definitely be no problem with modern machine testing. If she and Jun Zigan are siblings, then who are her biological parents? In her impression, she and Wei, her mother, looked very similar, and both had the same plum blossom mark behind their ears, so she must be Wei's biological daughter. As for who his biological father is, it seems obvious now. Could it be that his biological father is the king of the city in the western regions? Jun Loyun's cheap father? Shang Ruai was speechless. This joke seemed a bit too big. If the rumors he had heard were true, then the woman that the city king desired but could not obtain was his mother. What on earth did my mother go through that made her give up the king of city and the head of the Zhou family and marry that good-for-nothing Shang Nian? At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Master, are you there? Shang Ruai flashed out of the space and opened the door. Ah Cheng, what's wrong? Young master, the old man of the Li family wants you to come over, saying that someone from the family has come. Shang Ruai nodded thoughtfully, thinking that Li Wenshan and his son must have invited all the elders of the Li family. I see. She changed her clothes, put on her mask, and walked towards the main hall. Before she reached the main hall, she heard several voices coming from inside. Huaiyan, you are already old now. It's time to let the younger generation take care of the family affairs. That's right, Wenshan and Quaner didn't make too many mistakes when they were managing the Li family. It's just some trivial matters that drove them out, which is really inhumane. That's right. Now you have to call us old bones over to handle your family affairs. Li Huaiyan, the old man of the Li family, said in a deep voice. Expelling them and their son from the Li family is my family affair. The uncles are old, and if you think it's troublesome, just ignore it. We old guys came to help you solve the problem, but you didn't thank us and you said such things. You are becoming more and more rude. Ever since you set up your own mansion, You have increasingly ignored us old guys. What? Just because your business has grown, you can disrespect your elders? The old man sitting in the first seat sneered. I think you are not as good as Connor, that teenager.
Liwayan frowned.
Facing these elders, he was angry but didn't dare to express it, for fear of really angering them. At this moment, a servant came over with a tray in his hand with teacups on it. The servant was Lee-een. Where are you taking it? Mississippi, Lee-een said softly. It's going to the main hall. Shang Ruai turned her head to look at the main hall, looking at the gray-haired old men sitting inside, took out a porcelain bottle, poured spiritual spring water into the teacups, fearing that she would say something to make them faint, so she took the medicine first to avoid any trouble. Seeing this, Lee-een said nothing, just brought the teacups in. At this time, the people in the main hall were talking dry, and when they saw the tea being served, they all drank it at the same time. After taking a sip, they felt refreshed. Everyone couldn't help but drink a few more sips. Li Huaiyan also felt that today's tea seemed to be more fragrant than usual. After drinking the tea, I felt better. The old men recovered their strength and continued to persuade. Huaiyan, you only have one son, Winshan. If you don't give this huge family business to him, are you going to give it to outsiders? Outsiders? Li Huaiyan smiled. I don't know who the outsiders your uncles and aunts are talking about. You drove Winshan and Kwanu out of the house. Now the Li family only has a girl like Xia Xia. She will get married sooner or later. Are you going to give up our Li family's huge foundation to others? Li Huaiyan sneered. Second uncle, I don't know how much the Li family's foundation is, but there is one thing I know. The Li family can have what it has today because of our branch's accumulation. Now it seems that it is not up to others to tell us who I should give this family business to. You. The old man said coldly, your father has never made things so clear with us, but now you talk to us like this. Do you still have us old guys in your eyes? Do you still have the distinction between seniority and inferiority? That's right. You can't write two Li characters with this. After all, we are all family. We share happiness and hardship. Now that you are rich and have opened some purple oriental pearls, why do you want to draw a line between you and us old men? It's a bit ungrateful. Li Winshan and his son stood behind those people and sneered. Now, the only ones who can deal with this old thing are the three most senior members of the Li family. Although the Li family is a merchant family, they still attach great importance to the issue of seniority. Li Huaiyan's face was ashen. He wanted to get angry, but suppressed it. At this moment, Li Xia stood up and said in a deep voice, 3 great-grandfathers, this is our family's business after all. Aren't you meddling too much? Upon hearing this, the 3 put down their tea and slammed the table heavily. Huaiyan, is this the family education of your Li family? Now that the elders are all here, how can she, a junior, have a turn to speak? That's exactly what the eldest brother said. Not only that, it's a girl. Girls have always been money-losing goods. How dare they be so unruly in front of us ancestors? They really should be sent to the ancestral hall and taught a lesson. Li Winshan said in a cold voice, you don't know the rules. How can you have the right to speak in front of the great-grandfather? Why don't you get back to your yard? Reflect on your mistakes behind closed doors. Li Quan also curled his lips. That's right. How can you have the right to speak here? Hearing this, Li Huaiyan pointed at Li Quan and said, you. Cough, cough, cough. He started coughing before he finished speaking. Seeing this, the old man in the lead said hurriedly, Huaishan, you are not in good health. You should hand over the Li family to the young people earlier. Winshan has been in charge of the Li family for many years and has never made any mistakes. Quanner is young and full of youthful vigor, so you just need to be careful in the future. Why do you care so much? Li Huaiyan was upset by the old men's words and wanted to argue, but when he thought of their old age, he couldn't bear to speak. Li Xiaxia, who was wiping tears beside him, dared not say a word. Li Winshan and his son saw this and looked at each other. It seemed that their return to the Li family was just around the corner. At this moment, a sneer came from the door. What do you mean you have to hand over the Li family to others just because you're not in good health? If you put it that way, you know you are old and confused, so don't meddle in other people's family affairs and just take care of your own. Several people looked in the direction of the voice and saw a young man in a black robe and a mask on his face standing at the door, with a sneer on the corners of his lips and looking at them with cold eyes. You.
Who are you?
How dare you speak nonsense here? The old man in white knocked heavily on the cane in front of him and said angrily, "The Leaf family has turned the world upside down. I don't know where some random people can talk to our ancestors in the main hall." Shang Ruai looked at him and sneered. Ancestors? This is really the funniest joke I have heard today. Whose ancestors are you? You have no children? You have to be the ancestors of other people's families. She glanced at Li Wenshan and his son behind them and sneered. I think this father and son seem to want to be your grandsons. Although they have been kicked out now, if you like them, you can pick them up. Shang Ruai's words successfully changed the faces of the people in the main hall. Li Xia looked at her with admiration, worthy of being Sister Shang.
Who are you?
How dare you speak nonsense in my Li family? The old man in white said angrily. Is this the rule in your family? Yes, I haven't learned many rules, but there is one thing. Shang Ruai whispered. If you want to live a long life, don't meddle in other people's business, especially immoral things. You. The old man in white slammed the table fiercely. Who are you? Ling Jun. Shang Ruai looked at Li Huaiyan, who was sitting in the main seat and had a slightly relieved expression, and said, Why, you guys teamed up and came here to bully my grandfather and sister, and I can't say a few words? Grandfather? What grandfather? When did the Li family have another grandson? The three old men looked at Li Huaiyan in unison. What's going on? Li Huaiyan did not explain much, but said lightly, She is indeed my grandson. There is no doubt about this. Li Wenshan and Li Quan's faces became very ugly when they heard this. Thinking back to the day when she came to the Li family to seek an explanation, she was here and asked why she was the old man's doctor. How come she became his grandson today? Humph, so what if she is a granddaughter? Her last name isn't Li, and the assets of our Li family must never be handed over to outsiders. The old man in green snorted coldly. The family business of our Li family must be inherited by members of the Li family. That's right, said the old man in purple who was sitting at the end. It must come from our Li family. A granddaughter with unknown origins actually wants to have the final say in our Li family and get a piece of the pie.
Bah.
I'll make it clear today. Apart from Wenshan and Quanna, if anyone else takes over the Li family, we old men will never recognize them. You are shameless and take advantage of your age. I'm talking about people like you. Shang Ruai's words were merciless. The three old men were so angry when they heard it. You are full of dirty words. How can you be so vicious at such a young age?
I'm vicious.
Shang Ruai looked at them and said, Am I vicious or are you vicious? Li Wenshan and his son asked Shang Ruai what they said, causing the faces of the people present to change several times. How did she know? But with some gold, silver, jewelry, or property of the Li family. Shang Ruai was not wrong. Li Wenshan did exchange them with several shops of the Li family, but the shops could only be given to them if Li Wenshan returned to the Li family. To him, what were these? As long as he could control the Li family, what was the importance of a few shops? You. You're slandering me. The old man in white tightly grasped the cane in his hand, raised it slightly, and looked as if he was going to hit her. Seeing this, Li Xia stepped in front of Shang Ruai, looked at the old man in white, and said, Great-grandpa, what are you doing? Do you still want to hit her? In fact, she was a little scared, and even her voice trembled a little, but she still stood in front of Shang Ruai with her back straight. Shang Ruai saw this. With the corners of her lips slightly raised, she smiled and patted Li Xia's shoulder and whispered, What's there to be afraid of? This is your home. As soon as Shang Ruai finished speaking, Li Xia's eyes lit up. Yes, this is her home. Li Xia looked at them again, her chin slightly raised. This is our Li family. If you want to use force here, blame us for being rude. She spoke loudly, and the posture was a complete change compared to just now. Shang Ruai raised the corners of her lips slightly, This girl is really very malleable.
How dare you?
You stinky girl. How dare you talk to me like this? You are really a who was born by a mother but not raised by a mother. You are arrogant, rude, and have no family education at all. You should be taken to the ancestral temple to be educated. Li Xia turned pale when she heard that. Whenever she mentioned that she didn't have a mother, her emotions couldn't stop surging. At this moment, a figure blocked her way. Shang Ruoyi's eyes were cold, and even her mask was covered with a layer of cold light. Say it again. The old man in white's pupils shrank slightly. He never expected that such momentum would emanate from a little kid. Why, is there something wrong with what I said? He whispered. You are so rude to your elders. Can't we say something? Elders? Shang Ruoyi sneered. You deserve it. You're just a little older. Are you worthy of being called elders by others? Shang Ruoyi sneered. Why don't you take a bronze mirror to see what kind of person you are? How dare you come here to point fingers and shout? Shang Ruoyi's merciless words made them jump with anger. Li Huaiyan felt happy. For so many years, he had been taught these so-called ethical principles, righteousness, and shame by these three uncles, and he felt very upset. He didn't expect that today he would feel relieved by his granddaughter's words. You must know who has the final say in the Li family now. The head of the Li family is my grandfather. You're just older than him. Can you surpass the status of the head of this family? Shang Ruoyi glanced at them. If you really have this ability, your families will not depend on my grandfather to live. They were so angry that they jumped with anger, but they had no reason to refute. They were indeed dependent on Li Huaiyan to live now. You are a grandson who came out of nowhere. What qualifications do you have to point fingers and talk nonsense here? This is the Li family. You are an outsider. Li Quan was interrupted by Shang Ruoyi before he finished speaking. What's wrong with an outsider? Just because you are not an outsider. How outstanding are you? Eating, drinking, and gambling. Tell me yourself, which of these do you not touch? The money from the casino has been repaid, but the money from the underground bank must not be repaid yet. So much time has passed, and the interest has been compounded. Tens of thousands of taels of silver must have doubled to 100,000 taels. Shang Ruoyi's words successfully turned Li Quan's face into a pale face. She was right, now it has become 100,000 taels. If the money is not returned, those people from the underground bank will really take his life. Everyone looked at Shang Ruoyi, and no one dared to say anything. Everyone. Li Huaiyan said in a deep voice. What Lingjun said is exactly what I think in my heart. If the uncles think that I drove them out of the Li family just for those tens of thousands of taels of silver, then I am too stingy. He looked at Li Winshan and his son, whose faces changed suddenly, and sighed. It is true that our Li family has poor family education, and we actually raised a beast who wants to kill his father.
What?
Patricide? Everyone looked at Li Winshan in shock. This man looked gentle and refined, but they didn't expect him to be such a heartless person. Thinking carefully, I am indeed ashamed of my ancestors and the Li family. He sighed again. So, I have decided that our branch will be separated from the Li family tree. I have no face to see my ancestors if I raise such a corrupt descendant. He looked up at the uncles who had stood up in shock and said, So, what happens to our Li family's descendants has nothing to do with our family, not to mention that the children we raise have brought disgrace to the Li family.
What?
Separate from the Li family? How can that be possible? Now the most powerful branch of the Li family is theirs. If they leave the Li family, then the Li family, which has prospered for so many years, will be nothing but an empty shell. The future of the younger generation of their family will be affected, and even their marriages will have to be downgraded. How could they bear to let such a god of wealth separate from the Li family? What's more, his Li family now has purple Dongzhu, and its status in the aristocratic families has risen. I'm afraid it's not a mental illness to drive them away at this time. Shang Ruoyi looked at her grandfather with a little surprise. She never expected that such words as separating from the family would come from his mouth. Huaiyan, don't be angry, uncles and aunts are just worried about you. There is no one to inherit the Li family. What should we do in the future? The Li family has no successors. Is it possible that we have to adopt from several of our families? The old man in white looked at him with a hint of temptation in his eyes. What if? What if? What if he plans to choose someone to adopt from their families? Does that mean that this overwhelming wealth will have a chance to fall on their descendants? This blatant calculation almost made Shang Ruai laugh out loud. She finally understood why only her grandfather's branch of the Li family could prosper. Who said that there is no one in my Li family who can inherit the family business? Li Huaiyan whispered, whether it is my granddaughter or my grandson, they are all the flesh and blood of our Li family and can inherit the family business. Nonsense. A girl will get married eventually. How can she inherit the family business? In the future, the Li family's business will have to take the husband's surname. I remember that your granddaughter's marriage has been settled, and you, the grandson, don't have a surname. How can you inherit our Li family's business? At this moment, Li Xiaxia looked at Shang Ruai with a wavering look. Shang Ruai curled the corners of her lips slightly and whispered a few words in her ear. She was shocked. Marry into the family? Yes. Why didn't she think of it? She walked firmly in front of Li Huaiyan and knelt down. Xiaxia, what are you doing? Grandfather, please help me. I don't want to marry Zhang He. Li Xiaxia said coldly. Zhang He from the Zhang family is not as honest as my father said. He is simply a... He hasn't even married a wife yet, but he has taken in several concubines. Not only that, he even has children. If my granddaughter marries him, she will have to be the mother of those children. I don't want to marry such a man. What? Li Huaiyan frowned fiercely. The kid from the Zhang family actually did such a thing? You're talking nonsense. Li Wenshan said angrily. The Zhang family was carefully selected by my father. With your looks, marrying into the Zhang family is already marrying up. How dare you talk nonsense here? Shang Ruai sneered. There's no such thing as a wall that's impenetrable. If you don't want others to know, you'd better not do it. Zhang He wanted to pass the imperial examination, so he went to a master to ask him how to succeed. The master said that Zhang He's good deeds were damaged, and he needed to find a woman with a very strong destiny to bring him good luck. That's why he came to ask for her help, and he also gave you 20,000 taels of silver. Am I right? Li Wenshan's heart was pounding. How did she know? You. Use these 20,000 taels of silver to buy 2 headdresses for your concubine and give the rest to your mistress for safekeeping. Seeing that Li Wenshan was sweating more and more, Shang Ruai's smile deepened. You secretly kept this mistress, and she lives not far from the house you live now. Shut up. Li Wenshan's face turned pale, and he said angrily, How did you know all this? What's so important about how I know it? Didn't I just say it? If you don't want others to know, then don't do it. If someone wants to investigate, there will always be clues to find. Li Huaiyan sighed and became even more disappointed with his son. Driving him out of the Li family was the wisest decision he had ever made. You put at least 200,000 taels in the hands of that concubine, but you didn't help your son repay the debt. Shang Ruai's gaze fell on Li Quan's shocked face. I heard that your concubine also raised a son for you and hired a very strict teacher. It seems that you want to hand over the Li family's business to him. Before she finished speaking, she heard Li Quan shouting, Dad, is what she said true? Shut up. Li Wenshan said angrily. Why are you shutting up? Li Quan looked at his father whom he trusted so much in disbelief. So many people are chasing me for debts, and you clearly have hundreds of thousands of taels, but you are not willing to give me even tens of thousands of taels. Could it be that you really don't want to hand over the family business to me, as she said, but want to give it to the outside? Pah! Li Quan looked at Li Wenshan in shock. You hit me? That's your brother. What? He shouted angrily. If you talk nonsense again, I will take your life. His answer. Even a fool would know that he tacitly agreed with what Shang Ruai said just now. Enough. Li Wenshan knocked heavily on the table. Isn't it embarrassing enough? Dad. Don't call me Dad. From now on, I'm not your dad. I can't raise a heartless person like you. Li Wenshan coughed heavily a few times. Shang Ruai took out a pill and handed it to him. Grandfather, it's time to take the medicine. Li Huaiyan took the pill and was about to put it in her mouth when she saw Li Wenshan rushing up, pointing at her nose and said, "I know. It must be you. It must be you, right? It was you who used the medicine to control my dad, so my dad drove us out of the Li family. Don't you know why you were kicked out?" Shang Ruai sneered. "That day, when the old man had a heart attack, what did you say? You didn't allow the servants to call a doctor, and you had to watch him die in front of your eyes. In this way, everything in the Li family will be yours. Everyone in this mansion can testify. Do you need me to bring a few people to confront you and your son on the spot?" Li Wenshan's face was bright and dark, and he didn't say anything. Li Huaiyan swallowed the pill, and his face looked much better. He waved his hand, and the housekeeper brought the pen and ink. In front of everyone, he personally wrote a document to sever the father-son relationship with his own handwriting and put his name and handprint on it. "From today on, Li Wenshan and I completely sever the father-son relationship. Among his children, except Xia Xia, the other heirs have nothing to do with my Li family." He set his eyes on Li Xia Xia. "As for Xia Xia's marriage with the Zhang family, I will go to the Zhang family in person to cancel the engagement."
What?
Cancel the engagement? How can that be done? If the engagement is really canceled, won't the money have to be returned? Dad, now the whole capital knows that Xia Xia is engaged to the Zhang family. If the marriage is cancelled, it will be difficult to get married in the future. Li Wenshan said anxiously, "Don't cancel the engagement. Even if the Zhang family boy takes a concubine, what's the problem? As long as Xia Xia is the mistress of the house. Isn't everything in the Zhang family still in her hands?" Li Wenshan's words made the people present fall into deep thought. Li Xia Xia saw that her grandfather did not express his opinion, and she couldn't help but feel anxious. Shang Ruai frowned slightly. Could it be that her grandfather still wanted to marry her? At this moment, the old man picked up the tea on the table and smashed it on Li Wenshan. The tea was newly added by Li Yin, who was standing by, and it was still boiling. Although he was wearing thick clothes now, the scalding temperature still made Li Wenshan grin. "Now you have been kicked out of the Li family, don't call me dad. We are not familiar with each other. You don't need to ask about Xia Xia's marriage. This is my Li family's business." Li Wenshan's face was livid. He never expected that coming here today would make his father break off with him more thoroughly. "I'm going to withdraw from this marriage." Li Huaiyan helped Li Xia Xia up. "It's not that our Li family's children can't get married. Why do they want to marry such an unruly family like their Zhang family? Just after becoming a scholar, he has so many concubines. If he really becomes the top scholar in the future, I don't know what he will become. Such a person, even if he really becomes a dragon and phoenix among men in the future, is definitely not a good man." Shang Ruai nodded secretly. Her grandfather seemed to be really good. The old men sat there and didn't dare to say much, for fear that what they said would annoy him again. After a while, they all resigned and left. Li Huaiyan didn't go to see him off in person, but just sent the housekeeper to see him off. In the past, if they came to the mansion, Li Wenshan would definitely send someone to take gifts to send them home. This time, he just sent them to the door. The housekeeper watched them leave with a smile on his face. When they came, they took a carriage together to save some money. They thought they would go back in a sedan chair like before, but they didn't expect that they would still take the same carriage. Several people were very unhappy. This Li Huaiyan is getting more and more stingy. It's okay that he didn't bring anything back, but he didn't even prepare a sedan chair. That's right, if we go back like this, I don't know what the neighbors will say. Hearing this, the old man in white sighed and said, "It's not Huaiyan's fault. We are a little anxious today." "Impatient? How can I not be anxious? Big brother, that's a lot of silver." An old man said, "If Wenshan can become the head of the family, each of our families can get a gold shop and a cloth shop, which will cost tens of thousands of taels of silver." "What about tens of thousands of taels?" The old man in white had a heavy look in his eyes. If Li Wenshan was really kicked out of the Li family because of patricide, he would not fulfill his promise to them. The other people also thought of this and stopped talking for a while. The old man in white had the image of Shang Ruai in front of him. His eyes were dim. This boy was definitely not an ordinary person. At this time, Li Huaiyan was sitting in the main seat, looking at Li Wenshan and his son, who had not left yet, and said in a deep voice, "Why are you still standing here? Grandfather, you really don't recognize us?" Li Quan said with tears and snot, "Grandfather, I was blinded by greed before, so I did that. I will never dare to do it again. Never again." Li Huaiyan had no expression on his face, just looking at the father and son coldly, as if looking at a stranger.
Dad.
Li Huaiyan looked at the housekeeper and said sternly, "What are you doing? Why don't you let someone kick them out of the house? What are they doing here? It's disgusting to look at them." Upon hearing this, the housekeeper hurriedly asked the servants to drag the two of them out of the house. Li Wenshan said nothing, standing in front of the house gate with a gloomy face. Looking at the huge Li mansion on the plaque on the gate, he whispered, "One day, sooner or later, I will take all this back." Li Quan said to Li Wenshan with a sad face, "Dad, what should we do? Now, we really can't go back to the house. Why are you crying?" Li Wenshan said in a deep voice, "Useless thing." After the words fell, he turned around and left. The whistling cold wind blew on his wet body, and he couldn't help shivering. At this time, there were many pedestrians on the road. There were few people on this street who didn't know him. Now, seeing his appearance, they couldn't help pointing at him. "Did you see it? I heard that they were driven out by the old man of the Li family." "Driven out?
Why?
Why else? It is said that his son lost tens of thousands of taels of silver in gambling, and the old man drove them all out in a rage." "That's not what you said." A short man said, "It is said that because he did not save the dying, the old man was anxious and he did not want to find a doctor."
What?
"Is this true?" "That's right, it happened that day. I happened to deliver food to the Li family's house, and what I heard was true. This man has been delivering food to the Li family for many years. Everyone on this street knows it. What he said is probably true." For a while, people looked at the poor Li family father and son with contempt on their faces. They didn't even save their own biological father, and they were worse than animals. The man who delivered food looked at the figure leaving at the corner, and the corners of his lips curved. It seems that in the future, the food of the Li family will be delivered by himself. The housekeeper returned to the main hall and told the old man what happened on the street. "Thanks to that food delivery man, otherwise someone might gossip about our family." The old man nodded. "Yes. Since he is the food delivery man in the future, the food in our house. We don't need him to deliver it." Shang Ruai put down the tea in her hand and said lightly, "I remember that there was more than one person delivering food that day. Is the other person on the street today?" "Yes, Mississippi." The housekeeper knew her identity and said respectfully, "That person is really something. He didn't say a word for our house and let others speculate. It's him." Shang Ruai whispered, "In the future, all the food in our house will be delivered by him." "Miss, why is this?" A servant actually openly discussed the master's right and wrong in the street and eavesdropped on the master's family affairs when he came to deliver food. This shows that he has ulterior motives. He can't even do the duty of a servant. What is the point of having him? The other person really listened less, watched less, and inquired less. When Shang Ruai finished speaking, everyone present was shocked. The housekeeper nodded guiltily and said, "It's my fault. I even need the young lady to remind me of such a simple truth. I have failed in my duty. Please punish me." The old man waved his hand. "Forget it. It was an unintentional mistake. I'll listen to you on this matter." He looked at Shang Ruai and said with a smile, "There is no one in charge of the backyard, and many things in the mansion are bound to be overlooked. In the future, you have to spend more time on it." "Is he going to force the Li family on her?" Li Xia also hurriedly said, "That's right, sister. The Li family is better handed over to you to ensure safety." Li Huaiyan took out a seal. "This is the seal of our Li family. Only the head of the family can use it. Today, my grandfather will give it to you, cough, cough, cough." After he finished speaking, he started coughing again. Shang Ruai looked at the dongju on the seal and shook her head. "Grandfather, I am married now. If the Li family is handed over to me, the property will be gradually incorporated into the Dinghua Palace in the future. This is unfair to the Li family and even more unfair to Xia. I am willing to give up my give all you know to Xia. In the future, when the Li family is handed over to Xia, it can be passed down forever. In fact, she has never coveted the Li family. Hearing her refusal without hesitation, the old man's eyes flashed with regret. If the Leaf family could be handed over to her, it would definitely be able to move to the next level, but every time he mentioned it, she would refuse without hesitation. It seems that she really has no intention of taking over. At this moment, a servant walked in. "Master, someone from the Zhang family is coming."
Zhang family?
"Why are they here at this time? Let them in." Not long after, a woman with an extremely wealthy appearance, wearing silk and satin and a gold hairpin on her head, walked in, twisting her body. "Greetings to the old man." Although the woman had a smile on her face, her eyes could not hide her arrogance. She sat directly on the left side of the main seat. Behind her followed several maids, all with makeup on their faces. Shang Ruai sat opposite her with a frown on her face. How could this person look like a decent family? She looked like an old procuress from the Yihong courtyard. "Madame Zhang, what brings you here today?" Ever since the old man knew about Zhang He's scandals, he was determined to break off the engagement with him, so he didn't have a good face to Madame Zhang at this time. Unfortunately, Madame Zhang didn't show any expression at all. She didn't realize that the old man of the Li family didn't like her at all. She looked around the house. Every decoration was priceless. She was ecstatic in her heart. If the girl from the Li family married into their Zhang family, then everything in the Li family would belong to them. She loved the Li family's yard very much. Not to mention the wealth, the feng shui alone must be excellent. It would definitely help her son to succeed and get promoted and make a fortune. "Madame Zhang?" The old man saw her looking around and couldn't help but frown. "What's the matter with you coming here today?" Mrs. Zhang came back to her senses and said with a smile, "Oh, look at me. I was so confused that I forgot the important thing when I came here." She looked at Li Xia. "I asked someone to look at Xia's birth date, and it will be an auspicious day in 2 months. I think the marriage of our two families should not be postponed any longer. Xia will marry into our Zhang family eventually, so it doesn't matter if it's 1 day earlier." "Want to advance the wedding?" Shang Ruai narrowed her eyes. They had just said that they wanted to cancel the engagement with the Zhang family, and they came to the door to advance the wedding. How could it be such a coincidence? Li Xia's face looked very ugly. She stepped back and stood behind Shang Ruai, pinching her clothes with her fingers. Seeing this, Madame Zhang frowned slightly, but the words on her lips did not come out. In broad daylight, in front of the elders, she pinched a man's clothes. What kind of thing was this? Even relatives could not do this. She was dissatisfied in her heart, and her face was naturally not good-looking, but when she thought of the wealth of the Li family, she swallowed back what she wanted to say. When she arrived at their Zhang family, she could do whatever she wanted to persuade them. It would be easy to deal with a little girl, right? Thinking of this, her face looked better. The old man whispered, "Madame Zhang, it just so happens that I also want to go to the Zhang family to talk about the marriage of the 2 children." Hearing Li Huayan say this, Mrs. Zhang smiled widely again. "Oh, isn't this a coincidence? We actually thought of the same thing. In this case, on the 6th day of the first lunar month in 2 months, which is an auspicious day, we will move up the marriage. However, my son is already a scholar, and the next one is a Jiren, and after that it is a Gongsheng, and then it is the top scholar."
What is a top scholar?
Most of the top scholars are the seedlings of prime ministers. Our Zhang family is about to have a prime minister. Although your Li family is a merchant family, our Zhang family is definitely not a treacherous family. If we said we would marry her, we will definitely agree to her position as the legitimate wife of the Zhang family. But the dowry? She looked at the old man. "I heard that your Li family has made some purple oriental pearls. Why not add 10 extra purple oriental pearls to the dowry list, and the marriage will then cancel this marriage?" The old man of the Li family didn't wait for her to finish, and said lightly, "This marriage is over."
What?
Give up? How can this be possible? Their Zhang family spent a lot of money to get Zhang Wenshan to agree to marry their daughter. After all, her horoscope is particularly compatible with their son, and she will definitely help him rise to the top and become a prime minister in the future. Why would he care about the money in front of him? Now that the Li family wants to cancel the engagement, it means ruining her son's future.
How could she agree?
Old man, can I ask why your Li family wants to cancel the engagement? Her eyes fell on the two people opposite, and she snorted coldly. Did this young lady of the Li family do something extraordinary? Extraordinary things? Li Huaiyan frowned. What do you mean, Madame Zhang? Although our Li family is from a merchant family, we are also a prominent family with strict family education. How could we do what Madame Zhang said was extraordinary? What do you mean? Humph. She snorted coldly and pointed at Zhang Ruoyi. That day at the auction, how many pairs of eyes saw the Li family girl and her cousin brother pulling and tugging and getting entangled? My Zhang family disdains to marry such a person who brings disgrace to the family. We have no choice but to continue this marriage because of our friendship with the Li family. Li Xia said in a deep voice. Who are you saying is bringing disgrace to the family? Why, you dare not take responsibility for it. So many people saw it, you were secretly giving and receiving, and our Zhang family didn't bother with you, but you still took advantage of it.
Click.
Zhang Ruoyi put the teacup heavily on the table. Which eye of yours saw us giving and receiving secretly? And who did you hear these things from? Find him out. I want to see who is impatient to live and dares to gossip behind our backs. She shook her hand, and an extremely sharp scalpel appeared in her hand. Mrs. Zhang didn't even know how the knife appeared. She only felt a gust of wind, and a silver object flew past her ear. She could even feel a chill.
Ah!
A scream rang out, and the purse on the waist of the maid behind her was nailed to the wall not far away by the knife. The scream came from the maid. If we talk about private transactions, our Li family is far inferior to your Zhang family. What do you mean? Mrs. Zhang said coldly. Do you know how dangerous it was just now? It won't be dangerous. Even if it is really scratched or the ear is cut off, I can put it back. The sharp eyes penetrated the cold mask and saw Mrs. Zhang sweating coldly. As for what I just said, he waved his hand, and Lin took the purse off the wall very tactfully. I think you will understand what I mean after seeing what's in the purse. The maid's face turned pale when she heard it. Lin opened the purse and saw a jade pendant in it. The jade pendant had broken into several pieces. Li'en put the jade pendant together, and the words on it were clearly visible to everyone. This is. The word Zhang on the jade pendant was clearly visible, and there was a pair of mandarin ducks carved underneath. In Bailing, concubines all have such a jade pendant, but the words on it follow the surname of the master. Such a jade pendant must not belong to the master of the Zhang family. Zhang Ruoyi sneered. She is obviously the concubine of young Master Zhang, but she is serving by the lady's side. I wonder if the lady knows about it? She looked at the maid, and at a glance, the maid understood that this was her best chance to become the young master's concubine. She knelt down in front of Madame Zhang with a plop. Madam, I am guilty. It's the young master. Shut up. Madame Zhang slapped her. How dare you deceive the young master? What crime should you be punished for? With these words, she stopped the maid from saying anything. The maid covered her face and said tearfully, Madam, yes. What is it? Get out of the way. I will deal with you when we get back home. Madame Zhang's face turned pale. She had just said that Li Xia was behaving improperly, but now she was slapped in the face by her own words. She looked at the old man with an apologetic look on her face. It's my fault that I didn't discipline the servants well, and they even tricked the master into doing such a thing. I will definitely deal with them when I return to the mansion. She stood up and walked to Li Xia, stretched out her hand and placed her hand in her palm, smiling and said, Xia, don't worry. As long as you marry into our Zhang family, I, as your mother-in-law, will never treat you unfairly. Besides, which man in this world doesn't have 3 wives and 4 concubines? Look at my servants, who can match your looks and beauty. Even if he couldn't control himself, it was just a momentary pleasure. No one can shake the status of your Zhang family. Her expression was sincere, but Li Xia just felt sick. Madame Zhang. Shang Ruai moved Madame Zhang's hand away, her eyes full of coldness. 3 wives and 4 concubines? A moment of pleasure? You actually think that what your son did is very common. It's really ridiculous. Also, comparing the maids and servants around you with our Xia, who do you think your Zhang family is? He is just a scholar, but he dreams all day long and delusionally wants to become a prime minister. You really treat your useless son as a dish. There are so many scholars in the world. If he can become a prime minister, Bailing will probably be destroyed. Shang Ruai's words were merciless. Madame Zhang's face turned pale and blue, which was very interesting. You? How dare you say that about my son?
Why not?
Shang Ruai sneered. Your Zhang family is just a poor family without any power or status. Our Li family is not a family that despises the poor and loves the rich. That is why we have waited again and again and decided to marry our daughter to your family. What is the result? Zhang, he is simply a low-class person who eats, drinks, gambles, and prostitutes. You must know how many mistresses he has outside. Why is he pretending to be a scholarly family in our Li family? After these words, Mrs. Zhang was speechless. She opened her mouth for a long time, but didn't say a word. Also, go back to your house and see how many maids in your house are virgins. After checking, don't rush to make a decision. Find a doctor first to take a look and don't kill them. After she finished speaking, Mrs. Zhang trembled all over. Her eyes fell on the maids behind her. They all lowered their heads and dared not speak. She knew in her heart that these lowly guys were really, as she said. Madame Zhang, do you think you can accept the reason why our Li family canceled the engagement? Shang Ruai picked up the teacup and took a sip. If you don't want to cancel the engagement, it's not impossible. I will go directly to the government office to ask the prefect to make the decision. By then, the whole Bailing will know what your son has done. In the future, not to mention the daughters of merchants, even the daughters of farmers will not marry into your Zhang family. After becoming notorious, I want to see if your precious son can still ascend the throne and become a prime minister. Madame Zhang's chest rose and fell violently. After a long while, she sat on the chair, her eyes full of resentment. What do you want? What we want has been made very clear to you from the beginning. Our Li family proposed to cancel the engagement, and you just agreed. From now on, the 2 families will not interfere with each other and will be like strangers. What about the silver?
Silver?
What's silver? Shang Ruai laughed secretly. Madame Zhang must be talking about the 20,000 taels of silver given to Li Wenshan. When did our Li family ever accept your silver? Back then, as an engagement gift, we paid Li Wenshan 20,000 taels of silver as a betrothal gift. Now that the marriage is cancelled, the money should be returned to our Zhang family. It was indeed so. Does anyone have a written receipt?
Credentials?
What kind of receipts? Shang Ruai sneered. Madame Zhang, do you think we are easy to bully? There is not even a receipt for a betrothal gift of 20,000 taels of silver. Since it is a betrothal gift, it must be made public. Since Li Wenshan gave the money to his mistress, it meant that the engagement gift was not clearly accounted for. You are asking us to return 20,000 taels of silver without any written receipt. Aren't you bullying us, Madame Zhang? If you asked for 200,000 taels, should we also return it to your Zhang family? Madame Zhang blushed and didn't know how to refute. If it is true, as Madame said, that Li Wenshan has given 20,000 taels of silver, then we should go and ask him to return it. Now he has left the Li family and set up his own family. Madame Zhang had naturally heard about the affairs of the Li family. It was because she knew that Li Wenshan and his son had been driven out of the Li family that she hurried to propose marriage. After all, the Li family now has only one child, Li Xia. Everything in the Li family will belong to her. The sooner she is married home, the sooner she can get the priceless dowry. She originally wanted to give in and see if there was any room for negotiation on this marriage. But seeing the attitude of the Li family members that there was no room for negotiation, she couldn't help but clench her fists. Humph! It's just a merchant family. They rely on a few stinky money in the family to look down on others. Just wait and see. I will let everyone in this capital know what kind of character your Lee family is. Your girls can't even think about marrying into a good family. Swoosh. As soon as she finished speaking, a sound of breaking through the air was heard, and a dagger flew past her eyes.
Snap.
The priceless vase beside her shattered. Madame Zhang, you must be familiar with the saying that the mouth brings disaster. If you can't control your mouth, someone else will. If there are any rumors, you can try to see whether the broken vase is more serious or your precious son is more seriously injured. You threaten me. Yes. She admitted openly. You can ask around. In addition to your Zhang family, there is another family with greater power in the capital. Go and find out what happened to them, and you will know whether you should control your mouth. As soon as she finished speaking, Madame Zhang's legs were a little weak. If it weren't for the maid supporting her, she would have fallen headfirst. She knew about the Bailing Zhang family. I didn't expect it was her handiwork. Until she returned home, the fat on her face was still twitching. Mother, how is it? Zhang he saw her coming back and hurried to greet her. Mother, was that woman Li Xia ecstatic when she heard that the wedding date was moved up? Did she give you a few of those purple pearls directly? He did not notice his mother's extremely bad expression at all, and continued, If there is no purple, white ones will do. I knew that the cheap woman was stingy. That day at the auction, I asked her for the purple pearl, but she refused to give it to me. Today, she even refused to give me the white one.
I promised Leonard.
Madam. The servants ran up in a hurry and supported Madame Zhang, who was about to faint on the ground. Zhang he looked up and saw that Madame Zhang's face was ashen, and she was unconscious. He frowned and waved his hand, asking the servants to carry Madame Zhang back to the mansion. Goodly family, you actually made my mother faint. Li Xia, let me see how I will deal with you. He walked towards the Li family angrily. Li Xia was relieved to get rid of the Zhang family's marriage. She was just about to ask the housekeeper to prepare wine and food so that she and Shang Ruoyi could get drunk together. Then she heard a commotion at the door. Let me in. Do you know who I am? I am the future husband of your young lady, the future master of the Li family. How dare you be so disrespectful? I will definitely punish you severely. The servants of the Li family naturally knew that their young lady had broken off the engagement with the man in front of them, so they naturally did not have a good face towards him. I am talking to this young master. This is the Li family, not your Zhang family. Now that our young lady doesn't want to see you, how can you yell in front of our Li family's door? How dare you? How dare you talk to me like that? Do you know who I am? Isn't it the scholar from the Zhang family? The doorman said, Our young lady said that there are so many scholars in this capital. What's so strange about it? You. He pointed at the servant with trembling fingers and said, How insulting. I am a scholar, the future prime minister. How dare you disrespect me? As soon as he finished speaking, he saw an object flying out from the yard and fell directly into his mouth.
Puh.
Zhang he spat out what was in his mouth, and then he saw clearly that it was actually a shoe. A servant came forward and took the shoe off the ground. Zhang he's face turned pale when he saw this. Li Xia, how dare you attack me? As soon as he finished speaking, Shang Ruoyi and Li Xia walked to the door, followed by Ah Cheng, who was wiping his hands. It was just an unfortunate coincidence that the servant didn't like to wash his feet, so the smell was really unpleasant. Li Xia looked at him, and the shyness in her eyes had long disappeared without a trace. Zhang, what are you doing here? Zhang he heard this, his expression turned cold. You still come to ask me? My mother fainted after returning from your house. It must be you who made her sick because of anger. I was angry? She sneered. I don't have such profound skills to make your mother faint. Who knows if it was you who made her angry? Nonsense, how could I make my mother angry? He curled his lips. It must be because you are too stingy that my mother became ill. She just asked you for a few dongzhu. Look at your stingy look. You didn't even give one. What do you think dongzhu is? Carrots and cabbages? Shang Ruoyi sneered. So in your eyes, Dongju is such a worthless thing. Your Li family originally raised Dongju. What's the difference between this and carrots and cabbages? Zhang Rui nodded after hearing this. I see. So, what our Li family sends to the palace every year for the emperor and empress to enjoy are all worthless stuff. Zhang he knew he had said the wrong thing and quickly made amends. That's not what I meant. I came here today just to ask you why you made my mother faint. A woman like you, who is so disrespectful to our elders, our Zhang family will definitely not tolerate it. He looked at the increasing number of neighbors and couldn't help but said loudly, our Zhang family, a family of scholars, will definitely not accept a woman who is disrespectful to her elders, unfilial to her parents-in-law, and has inappropriate behavior. He thought that as long as he said this, Li Xia would immediately humble herself and admit her mistakes to him. Unexpectedly, he really hit the wall today. Li Xia took a step forward, raised her chin slightly, and said with great momentum, your mother was fine when she left our Li family. Why did she faint when she returned to your Zhang family? She didn't faint at our house. Why did you come to me? Also, didn't your mother tell you? We have cancelled the engagement, and you actually regarded yourself as my fiancé in public. Who gave you the face?
What?
Cancel the engagement? How come he didn't know? Before he could react, he saw Li Xia throwing a box to him. This is the token exchanged between the two families when the engagement was made. Now it is returned intact. It is because I, Li Xia, don't want to marry a gentleman like you. You just read a few days of books and know a few words, but you don't take our Li family seriously. What? Do you think our Li family is marrying up to you? You are ugly, but you think beautifully. You don't have a big belly, but you have a big appetite. You still want 10 purple oriental pearls. Shameless.
What?
10 purple oriental pearls? The Zhang family's appetite is really too big. Purple oriental pearls, hundreds of thousands of taels each, and the Zhang family actually wants 10 of them. They must be crazy for money. He's just a scholar, but he's still not satisfied after marrying a daughter of the Li family. He dreams of getting 10 purple pearls, which are worth millions of taels of silver. He's not afraid of being stuffed to death. Who said it's not true? It is said that the young master of the Zhang family has taken in several concubines and even a son before he married a wife.
What?
How can he be so shameless? He even has children. No wonder the Li family reacted so strongly. I think Mrs. Zhang deserved to faint. She raised such a son. If it were me, I would have just killed myself by hitting my head. How could I have the face to live? Everyone was talking at the same time. Zhang, he couldn't help trembling all over when he heard it. He turned around and shouted, what does it have to do with you? Why are you all here watching the fun? He was furious. He kept the matter of raising a concubine very secretive. How could people know about it? Zhang Ruai looked at him leisurely. Of course. She was the one who ordered someone to spread the news. Have you given any advice to those concubines? Don't worry, the front door of the Zhang family is probably bustling with activity now. Ah Chung said with a smile, you are still one step ahead. You knew that the Zhang family would definitely come to make trouble. What's the big deal? It's just a trivial matter in the mansion. I have more important things to do right now. Now that the Li family's affairs are settled, we will be ready to set off. Zhang Ruai looked at Li Xiaxia's back and said in a low voice, send a few capable people to the Li family. Even though they have no feelings for the old man, he is my grandfather after all. Although Li Wenshan was driven out, he will never give up according to his character. The old man has treated me very well these days, and he must not be allowed to get hurt. And Xia, find a few maids who are proficient in the art of inner house management and a manager who is good at business and teach her more. The Li family will still rely on her in the future. Yes, I'll send someone right away. At this time, a woman came over and said loudly, oh, everyone, go and see. Someone is about to die in front of the Zhang family.
What?
Zhang, his heart skipped a beat, and a bad premonition lingered in his heart. He ran home at once, and the onlookers were curious when they saw this. Fortunately, the two families were not far away, so they all followed to watch the fun. Li Xia whispered, what good drama is going on in the Zhang family? Someone brought a child to recognize their ancestors. TSK, TSK, TSK. A cunning look flashed across Li Xia's eyes. Shang Ruai knocked on her head. Instead of just watching the fun, you might as well go back and learn how to manage the household. Now the huge Li family business is going to be handed over to you. If you don't have real skills, no matter how big the family business is, it will not be enough for you to ruin. Li Xia rubbed her forehead that was knocked red. Got it. I will send a few people to assist you. I have to go somewhere else tomorrow. When I come back, I will personally check your results. Where are you going?
Don't worry about it.
Shang Ruai smiled. You just need to know that you have to take on everything in the Li family now. Your grandfather is old. Although I have the pills I prepared, they can only prolong his life as much as possible. People will eventually return to dust and cannot change their fate. The future of the Li family still depends on you. Yes, I remember. At night, she flashed into the space. Now, the food in the space has been piled up like a mountain. Shang Ruai picked a handful of fruit and started eating. Xiaobai sensed that she was in a bad mood, so he lay beside her and rubbed her hand with his big head. Shang Ruai patted it and said softly, Xiaobai, where are you from? Xiaobai looked at her in confusion. Where did he come from? How could he know where he came from? I knew you didn't know your own life experience, and now I don't even know who I am. She originally thought that she was a concubine of the Prime Minister's mansion, but now she is a sibling of the Prince of Western Region City.
Who is she?
Where did she come from? The next morning, Xiaoyao came in with water. Seeing the dark blue in her eyes, she asked worriedly, Miss, did you not get enough rest? No problem. She waved her hand. She just didn't sleep all night. But you got whipped. Why don't you take good care of yourself and come to my place? With Mrs. Medicine, I have recovered a long time ago. Shang Ruai originally wanted to keep her here and take her back to Tianshan when she was well. Now that she saw that she was indeed well, she joked, you didn't see how Ah Cheng looked that day. I have never seen him so anxious.
It shows how much he cares about you.
Xiaorao blushed, Miss. You only think about these things all day long. After that, she walked out with the basin of water. Ah Cheng happened to be waiting in the yard. Xiaoyao rolled her eyes at him and ran away with a red face. Shang Ruai saw this scene in the room and couldn't help but smile. The appearance of He Jingheng appeared in front of her eyes. She didn't know whether he had a smooth return to the capital. After breakfast, she still dressed the same way and went to Jun Ziqian's manor. Nan Charan saw her coming and said with a smile, what a coincidence. If you didn't come, I would have sent someone to look for you. What's the matter? Ah Qian, he can stand up today with the help of the table. Nan Charan patted her shoulder vigorously. You are worthy of being a miracle doctor. There are not many people in this world who can make me admire you. Now you are one of them. Seeing this, Ah Cheng had already put his hand on the hilt of the sword, wishing he could chop off Nan Chuqian's claws directly. Shang Ruai brushed his hand away and walked straight to the inner courtyard. Jun Ziqian had heard her voice a long time ago and was just waiting for her to come in. For some reason, he was so concerned about this miracle doctor whom he had only met a few times. He understood matters of love and already had a woman he liked, but he couldn't explain what this feeling was. Shang Ruai saw Jun Ziqian sitting in a wheelchair, and her heart moved. She even walked faster. Why is the miracle doctor here today? I came to see your legs. After Shang Ruai took his pulse, she nodded and said, your meridians are much better than before. You will be fully recovered soon. Hearing this, Nan Charan clapped his hands and said, that's great. If you can recover within 10 days, we can still catch up with your father's birthday when we return to the western regions. Shang Ruai paused as she was taking something out of the medicine box. The birthday of the king of the city? Is the king of the city really her biological father? It's a pity that you couldn't find the princess's whereabouts. If you could find her. Okay. Jun Ziqian was a little angry and said in a cold voice, I came out this time only to find a doctor, not to look for someone. Princess? Shang Ruai couldn't help but feel a little curious, but seeing that he seemed unwilling to say more, she didn't ask any more questions. Prince, Master Nan, These are the pills I prepared for you. She pushed the porcelain bottle over. Although she couldn't recognize him now, June Zegan was her brother after all, and most importantly, he seemed to get along well with her. If not for this, she wouldn't bother to care whether he lived or died.
Wow.
So many. Nan Charan was about to reach out to take it when Shang Ruai slapped him back. This is mine. This is the prince's. She almost said the word brother. Didn't you just say that this was prepared for us? He rubbed his red hands and said a little aggrievedly, Are you still a good brother? This is yours. She took out 2 porcelain bottles. Although the toxins in your body have been discharged, the 7 days powder is extremely harmful to your body. This is what you can eat. So that's it. Nan Charan's expression relaxed slightly. I said, We are brothers. How can we favor one over the other? June Zegan looked at the pills, frowning slightly. You give me these pills, but you won't come again in the future? Shang Ruai nodded. I still have some things to deal with. I will leave tonight. So soon? Yeah, a little anxious. She looked at June Zegan intently, although she hadn't recognized him yet. The feeling of having a brother made her feel very novel. No matter in her past life or this life, she has long been accustomed to being on her own. She has never had a brother, nor has she ever been protected by anyone. Now she also has an elder brother. Thinking of this, her eyes became softer. Looking at that somewhat familiar look, June Zegan clenched his fist slightly. This look had appeared in his dreams countless times. Whenever he woke up in the middle of the night, there would be a little moisture in the corners of his eyes. Leaving the yard, Nan Charan followed her. He was usually eloquent, but now he was a little silent. The princess you just mentioned, who is that? The prince's biological mother? Nan Charan nodded. Yes, but the queen has been gone for more than 10 years. We don't know whether she is still alive. More than 10 years? How many years is that? 11 years or more. About 17 years. Nan Charan shook his head. I don't remember the details. The age was exactly the same. It seems that there are many stories between my mother and the king of the city. Alas, the princess has been gone for many years, and the king of the city has been looking for her for a long time. However, there has been no news for more than 10 years. It is most likely that they are gone forever. It is really sad. Shang Ruai was still a little absent-minded until she left the capital. I didn't expect that my father is such a romantic man. Miss, where are we going? Xiao Yao's words made Shang Ruai gradually come back to her senses, and she whispered, Zingaman, I said before that after New Year's Day, I will visit you in person. I always keep my words. She raised the whip in her hand, and the horse rushed out like a string. The Xinghe sect is a very famous sect in Bailing with great influence. The sect master Wu Hai was sitting on a chair at this time. Listening to the report of his subordinates, he couldn't help but throw away the teacup in his hand. You are useless. You can't even bid for 1 dongzhu. Master, it's not that I don't want to bid, it's just that there is too much silver and I didn't bring enough. Then why don't you admit that you are useless? What are you going there for? Auction. You don't have to bring more silver. What are you doing there? Watching the fun? He was furious and still felt unsatisfied. At this moment, a servant walked in. Master, 3 people want to see you. What do you want to see? Who does she think of me? A monkey? Can anyone see me? He turned around and saw the person who made the announcement was still standing at the door. He couldn't help but scold. You heartless thing, I said you don't want to see me. Don't you understand? He was worried about the dongzhu now, so how could he have time to see guests? But that person said that she was from Prince Ding's palace. The servant lowered his voice, but Wu Hai still heard it. He paused his hand movements and looked at him in disbelief. Who do you say she is? That person said she was from Prince Ding's palace. Before he finished his words, he saw Wu Hai had passed him and walked towards the gate. His pace was the fastest in his life. Although Wu Hai had never met Shang Ruai, from what his men had reported, the Dingwa Palace was not as prosperous as before, but its true strength was still unfathomable and could not be contended with by a small Xinghe gate like him. Shang Ruai waited at the door for a while, with her arms crossed over her chest and her fingers tapping lightly on her arms. Ah Chung stepped forward and whispered, Miss, Do you want me to break the door by force? Shang Ruai smiled and shook her head. It's okay. Wait a little longer. If he doesn't open the door, let him try the power of the grenade. As soon as she finished speaking, a black grenade appeared in her hand. Ah Chum looked at the wall of Xinghe Gate. It looked much stronger than Zhang's. Perhaps more grenades would be needed. However, no matter how strong the courtyard wall is, it is nothing compared to the lady's grenade. Just when her patience was gradually running out, the gate of the Galaxy Gate opened from the inside, and dozens of big men walked out. Ah Cheng's eyes were slightly fierce, his hand on the hilt, and the long sword in his hand was ready to be unsheathed at any time. Shang Ruai's expression did not change. Those big men did not hold any weapons in their hands, which meant that they had no hostile intentions. At this time, Shang Ruai had changed back into women's clothes. Wu Hai saw that the visitor was a woman with an extraordinary demeanor. Recalling the description of Prince Ding's wife by the people below, his attitude instantly became respectful. Oh, you have come to visit me. I am sorry for not coming in to greet you. I am so sorry. Wu Hai said with a flattering smile. Please come in. Please come in. Shang Ruai said with a smile. Master, do you recognize me? Haha, although we have never met, but from your demeanor, I guessed your identity at once. Wu Hai's eyes were full of shrewdness. Shang Ruai nodded when she heard this. The leader is really a smart man. Thank you for the compliment. I'm just a reckless man. How can I deserve your praise? He made a gesture of invitation. Please come in quickly. Ah Chum looked at the leader of the Xinghe sect and couldn't help feeling a little surprised. Their Dingwa Palace had nothing to do with these underworld forces, so why was the leader so enthusiastic? When everyone arrived at the main hall, a man was kneeling on the ground. Wu Hai saw him and cursed inwardly. Why are you still kneeling here? He was the manager who had just been scolded for not taking a picture of Dongzhu. The sect leader just walked out quickly. How could he know what the sect leader was going to do? How dare he stand up without the sect leader's permission? Because he knelt for a long time, he stumbled a few steps when he stood up. Shang Ruai happened to see his face clearly, and for a moment he felt that he looked familiar. Master, I will withdraw first.
Get lost.
Wu Hai waved his hand. Don't let me see you today. Hearing his voice, Shang Ruai raised her eyebrows slightly and couldn't help but recall that he seemed to have bid for Dongzhu at the auction. After the man left, Wu Hai said enthusiastically, Crown Princess, please sit down. Please sit down. Shang Ruai glanced at him calmly. Wu Hai sat in the main seat, feeling very uncomfortable, and finally stood up. Crown Princess, what brings you here today? Shang Ruai smiled and spread out her hands, only to see a jade ring lying in her palm. This is... Wu Hai's eyes suddenly lit up. This is the ring from the Dingwa Palace. Shang Ruai put it on the table and smiled. I heard that Master Wu is very curious about this ring. I am personally delivering this ring to your door to satisfy your curiosity, so I don't want you to send your men to get it. Now our Dingwa Palace is not like before. There are not so many guards, and there are many female relatives in the family. It is really inconvenient for men from outside to enter. Master Wu, don't you think so? Wu Hai felt a dangerous breath coming towards him. He hurriedly bowed and said, What are you talking about, Princess? I just heard too many rumors in the martial arts world, and I am a little curious. I don't have the slightest desire. The people under me are ignorant, and I have already dealt with them. I didn't expect Master Wu's actions to be so quick and decisive. I am a little embarrassed. Shang Ruai still had a smile on her face. Although she said this, there was no embarrassment on her face. Since Patriarch Wu likes it, I will give you this ring. What? This ring is given to him? He looked at Shang Ruai in disbelief. Crown Princess, this ring, are you really giving it to me? Yes. Shang Ruai nodded, looked at the cakes brought by the maids, without any desire to eat, and set her eyes on him again. But, do you know what it means when I wear this ring? How can I wear this ring? If you give it to me, I will take good care of it and put it in the most hidden place and will never let others find it. Shang Ruai sneered. Patriarch Wu, do you think that the things of my Dingwa Palace are so shady? No, no, no. How dare I think so? It's just that this ring is precious, and I'm afraid it will be lost or damaged. If you accept the ring from my Dingwa palace, you must wear it on your hand every day. Wear it on your hand?
How can that be?
If others knew about this, they would think that there was some connection between Hishingha sect and the Dingwa palace. For this ring, wouldn't Hishingha sect become the target of public criticism? He hurriedly put the ring back. I just took a look. How can I accept such a precious thing? Want to return it? Too late. Shang Ruai put away the smile on her face, and her eyes were cold. Master Wu, who do you think my He family is? Your people come and go as you please. You can take our He family's ring when you want it and give it away when you want. Do you really think that now that the He family is in decline, you can't do anything to you? Hearing Shang Ruai say this, Wu Hai's heart skipped a beat. He said that the people in the Dingwa palace didn't have such a good temper. There was no such good thing as pie in the sky in the world. Then what does the prince's wife mean? Shang Ruai sneered. Either your Xinghe sect surrenders to me, or wait for destruction. Sure enough, this was her purpose. Wu Hai narrowed his eyes slightly, stood up straight, and the expression on his face was no longer as flattering as just now. Crown Princess, I address you as Crown Princess. Do you really think that my Xinghe sect is afraid of you? He sat down on the main seat, his eyes full of disdain. Now the Dingwa palace no longer exists. Although the old saying goes that a lean camel is bigger than a horse, it is still a dead camel. No matter how powerful it was when it was alive, it is just a skeleton after death. He looked at Shang Ruai. If my Xinghe sect encountered the Dingwa palace in its heyday, it would naturally be defeated. But now I hope you have a better idea of who is stronger and who is weaker. How dare you speak to my master like this? Ah Chung stepped forward and said in a cold voice, It's just a small Xinghe sect. How dare you be so arrogant?
Ha!
I'm the sect master. When I'm talking, how can you, a guard, have the right to speak? After he finished speaking, he suddenly swung out a palm, and the powerful internal force accompanied by the palm wind went towards Ah Cheng's face. The Xinghe sect has been able to stand firm in Bailing for so many years, which shows that it has some real skills. The martial arts of this sect leader are very powerful, at least much more profound than Ah Cheng. At this moment, Shang Ruai appeared in front of Ah Cheng. She stretched out her palm with a calm face. At this moment, the space shook, and the strong internal force was poured into her body. The internal force in her palm instantly blocked Wu Hai's attack. The tables and chairs around him fell apart under the powerful force, and the scattered wood chips scratched Wu Hai's body with wounds of varying depths. Hiss! Wu Hai was shocked. This prince's wife actually has such a strong internal force. A woman, so young, is actually much stronger than himself. Could it be that she is the old monster who has regained her youth? Or did she start practicing internal force in her mother's? At this time, the internal force in his body surged, and a fishy sweetness surged into his throat. He looked at Shang Ruai with an expression that no longer dared to show the slightest contempt. Master Wu, you're quite skilled. Wu Hai had a bitter look on his face. Not bad? He was almost blown away by one move, and that's not bad? I can't be compared with the Crown Prince's consort. Master Wu, don't call me the Crown Prince's consort, didn't you say so? The Dingwa Palace has been destroyed, so how can there be a Crown Prince's consort here? I was just talking nonsense just now. Please be magnanimous. Don't bother with me. He wiped the sweat from his forehead. Don't be angry. Shang Ruai returned to her seat, and Wu Hai couldn't help shrinking his pupils when he saw this. With such a strong internal force just now, except for her table and chairs, all other tables, chairs, and porcelain ornaments in the main hall were shattered, and the area around her table and chairs was as clean as before, and even the teacup on the table did not move at all. He swallowed, cupped his hands, and said, Princess, I know I was wrong. Really? She handed him the ring. Try it on? Wu Hai looked bitter, hesitant, struggling in his heart, not knowing whether he should reach out. Shang Ruai snorted coldly, took out a grenade and handed it to Ah Chung. Go help Master Wu and make a decision.
Yes.
Ah Cheng took the grenade and walked to the courtyard. Seeing that there was no guard on the east side, he pulled out the ring of the grenade and threw it over. Just when everyone was confused about his actions, there was a loud, and the main house shook violently. Wu Hai ran out in horror and saw that several hundred-year-old trees on the east side were blown off in half, and the solid bricks and stones on the ground had long been blown off. It was blown to pieces, and a huge, deep pit was visible to the eye. There were several glass covers on the east side for heating, all of which were blown to pieces, and the walls collapsed. Bursts of black smoke accompanied by a strong, pungent smell filled his nose. He was so shocked that he sat directly on the ground. Things as solid as houses and trees were blown into this state. If it were a person, even his bones would be blown into powder. The other people in the Xinghe Gate were also scared to death, and they huddled in the corner and dared not say a word. Master Wu, in this case, is it possible that a decision has been made? Shang Ruai's words brought him back to his senses instantly. Wu Hai got up from the ground, stood in front of Shang Ruai, and said with a bow, "I am willing to serve the prince's wife." Shang Ruai smiled. As expected, sometimes, force is the fastest way to solve these problems. I heard that Patriarch Wu wanted to bid for the pearl? Wu Hai heard her tone softened a little and smiled and said, "To be honest, I have a daughter who has been spoiled since she was a child. She wanted a pearl, but the people under my command were incompetent, so they failed to bid for the pearl." Patriarch Wu has a daughter? The news that Ah Cheng brought back did not mention Wu Hai's family, and people thought that he had not married or had children yet. To be honest, my daughter has been weak since she was young, perhaps because of a difficult birth. She has been sick since she was born. Although the Xinghe sect is quite powerful in Bailing, it also has many enemies. I was afraid that she would be harmed, so I hid my only daughter. Shang Ruai nodded. Wu Hai was cautious. Since Sect Master Wu is willing to submit to me, I naturally cannot let the Sect Master gain nothing. She stood up. "Where is your daughter now?" "Princess, my daughter is still young, and I am afraid that my words may offend you." He had seen Shang Ruai's thundering methods. He could see clearly the wounds on the bodies of the people he sent last time when they came back. In addition, the commotion she made in the courtyard today showed that she was not someone to be trifled with. "You don't want to save your daughter?" "What?" Seeing that he hadn't reacted yet, Xiaoyao stepped forward and said, "Master Wu, our young lady means that she is willing to treat your daughter. Why don't you lead the way quickly? If our young lady changes her mind, you will regret it. She actually knows medical skills." Upon hearing this, Wu Hai hurriedly bowed and said, Thank you, Crown Princess." After going out from the back door of Xinghe Gate and walking for a while, they came to a remote courtyard where several maids were boiling medicine. The young lady didn't take the medicine today. She didn't take it last night either. These bitter medicines are useless. The young lady is getting weaker and weaker. Poor young lady, she has to suffer this at such a young age. Yes, the weather is not so cold these days, so it's better. After the heavy snow a few days ago, the young lady's health has been getting worse day by day. The words of the few people were heard by them. Wu Hai stepped forward quickly and said in a deep voice, "What were you talking about just now?" The maids turned around and found that the master of the sect had been standing behind them without knowing when. They were shocked. "Greetings, master. I ask you, what were you talking about just now?" Wu Hai's veins popped out. The maids knelt on the ground in a hurry. "Master, the young lady has been in poor spirits recently and often drowsy. She hasn't taken medicine for 2 days." Wu Hai said angrily, "Why didn't you report such an important matter?" "Master, the young lady didn't let us tell you because she was afraid that you would worry." At this moment, a very weak voice came from the room. "Daddy." Wu Hai hurried into the room. Shang Ruai followed him and walked in slowly.
"Tangea."
Wu Tanger was lying on the bed, her face pale and her eyes sunken. Shang Ruai looked at her and frowned slightly. "Daddy." Wu Tanger whispered, "Daddy, don't blame them. I told them not to say it." "Tanger, how do you feel?"
"Daddy, ai fine."
"Tanger, Daddy has invited a doctor for you. He will definitely be able to cure you." Wu Tanger shook her head. "Daddy, don't bother yourself anymore. You've drunk so many bitter medicines for so many years, but there's no improvement. It's just a burden. Although she was only 11 years old, still a child, her mind was more delicate than that of a person in her 20s. After the New Year's Day, she clearly felt that her health was getting worse, and she was sleeping longer and longer every day. She knew that her health was coming to an end. The reason why she didn't let the maids tell Wu Hai was because she was afraid that he would worry. Since death is a foregone conclusion, why should she be sad too early? Zhang Ruai stepped forward, looked at Wu Tanger's haggard face, and whispered, "There is a blue-black color between the eyebrows, which is a sign of impending death."
What?
Wu Hai was horrified. A sign of impending death. How is that possible? She is only 11 years old. The poison has penetrated into her bone marrow. It's a miracle that she is still alive. Poison? You said she was poisoned? Zhang Ruai nodded. Yes, she was poisoned. She stepped forward and put her hand on Wu Tanger's wrist. It's just as I guessed, it's poisoning, and this poison was brought from the...
How could it be?
How could it be? Wu Hai murmured. I have invited so many doctors, and the results of their pulse diagnosis all showed that her body was weak, not poisoned. So your daughter hasn't been cured yet. She took out a silver needle and pierced it into her acupuncture point to protect her heart meridian. Looking at such a long silver needle piercing into Wu Tanger's body, Wu Hai burst into tears with heartache. Zhang Ruai glanced at him and couldn't help laughing. Just now in the main hall, I saw the cold look on Master Wu's face towards me. I never thought that you would cry. Wu Hai's face looked a little unnatural when he heard this, but he also admitted frankly, to be honest, Tanger is my dearest. Back then, her mother died of dystocia when she gave birth to her. Before she died, she entrusted her to me and asked me to do my best to protect her for the rest of her life. As a result, she has not had a comfortable day since she was born. I feel guilty towards her mother. If she leaves before me, how can I have the face to see her mother after 100 years? Zhang Ruai smiled. Since she is so important to you, if I save her life, I wonder how Master Wu will repay me? Wu Hai was shocked when he heard this. You can really save her? Zhang Ruai nodded. Although she is deeply poisoned, I can cure her. Wu Hai knelt on the ground and clasped his hands together. As long as you can cure her, I, Wu Hai, and the entire Xinghe sect will follow your lead forever. As long as it is your order, I will do it even if it costs my life. Okay, I hope Sect Master Wu can remember what I said today. She took out the spiritual spring water and gave it to her to drink. The spiritual spring water can purify the toxins in the body, but it is far from enough to rely on the spiritual spring water to detoxify. She took out the silver needle and pierced her forehead, palm, and sole. After the last needle was pierced, Zhang Ruai gently flicked the silver needle at the forehead and saw that the silver needles around her body seemed to have received a call and swayed like waves. Wu Tanger frowned and groaned in pain. Just as Wu Hai was about to step forward, Ah Qing stopped him. When my young lady is treating the patient, no one can step forward without her permission.
But...
Master Wu, even if you go there, you can't solve any problems. It's better to wait here quietly. If the young lady says she can be cured, she can be cured. Ah Qing looked at Zhang Ruai's back. For some reason, he always felt that there was nothing in the world that the prince's wife couldn't do. As long as she was there was a power that could soothe people's hearts.
Wu Tanger bit her lips tightly.
The pain in her body made her faint for a while. But she would be awakened by the pain soon, as if there were dozens of knives scraping her bones inside her body. You are deeply poisoned. Only this method can clear the toxins in your body, and your body can really get better. Wu Tanger panted. Really? Can it really get better? Zhang Ruai nodded. Don't you want to see the snow scene in Bailing in winter?
Snow scene?
Zhang Ruai smiled. I felt very cold this morning. I think it will snow tomorrow. When your poison is cured, you can go outside and take a look. Really? Her eyes brightened, and the pain in her body seemed to be relieved a lot. Zhang Ruai took out a silver needle and whispered, "This needle should be pierced on the top of the head. It will be very painful. You must hold on." Okay. She clenched her fists tightly. If she can really get better, it will be worth it even if she is in pain. Shang Ruai slowly inserted the silver needle into the top of her head, and the intense pain instantly invaded her body.
Ah!
Unable to bear it anymore, Wu Tanger shouted loudly. Wu Hai stood in place, clenched his teeth, and nailed himself in place. After a while, the pain in her body slowly disappeared, and black pus and blood slowly flowed out of her ears. The pus and blood had a foul smell that made people nauseous. Wu Tanger slowly opened her eyes, and the unprecedented comfort made her sigh. So, this is what it feels like to not be sick. Shang Ruai took out a porcelain bottle, asked the servants to bring warm water, pour the medicine in this porcelain bottle into the warm water, and give her a good bath. Wu Hai asked in a daze, "Detoxified?"
Yes.
Shang Ruai nodded. "It's just that my body has been depleted a lot over the years, and I need to take good care of it." Wu Hai's hands were shaking, and he staggered to the bedside. Looking at his daughter with a slightly rosy face, he couldn't help sobbing. "Tanger, you're finally getting better." Wu Tanger looked at Shang Ruai with red eyes. "Thank you, sister doctor." "No need to thank me." Shang Ruai smiled and said, "Your father has put the future of the entire Xinghe Gate on the line to save you." Wu Hai wiped his tears, bowed his hands and said, "Princess, as long as you order, I will go through mountains of swords and frying pans, and I will not refuse 1,000 deaths. It's not to the point of 1,000 deaths." She waved her hand and whispered, "I heard that you at Zingaman can make weapons?" "That's right. We at Zingaman can make more than 100 kinds of weapons." "Can you make the 1,000 machine crossbow?" "1,000 machine crossbow?" He shook his head. "Forgive me for my ignorance. I have never heard of this weapon." "No problem, now you know." She took out a blueprint. "Here is the drawing of the 1,000 machine crossbow. Take a look and see if it can be made." Wu Hai took the blueprint and looked at it for a long time. He couldn't help but exclaimed, "Wonderful, wonderful, this is simply a magic weapon. 1,000 machines in one shot, extremely powerful." "Princess, where did you get this blueprint from?" "Of course I drew it myself." "What? She actually knows how to make weapons?" Chung had seen her use this kind of crossbow before, and at that time he felt that this crossbow was different from the ones he had seen before. It turned out to be called the 1,000 machine crossbow. "I heard that Zingaman has several iron mines." In fact, this was her real purpose for coming to Zingaman today. There are many of these 1,000 machine crossbows in her space, but it is acceptable to take out a dozen. If she takes out thousands or tens of thousands, I am afraid that even a fool cannot be fooled. But with the Galaxy Gate, no one will doubt it, let alone thousands, even if it is 10,000 or 100,000. "Yes, we have 8 iron mines in the Galaxy Gate. You can tell me how many 1,000 machine crossbows you need. Let's make 1,000 first." "Okay." Wu Hai responded without hesitation. "I will give the order tomorrow. You can rest assured." Shang Ruai took out 2 porcelain bottles. "The pills in it are good for her physical recovery, 1 pill a day." Wu Hai looked at the porcelain bottle and felt a little familiar. He took out an identical porcelain bottle from his arms. This porcelain bottle was bought at a high price at the auction house, and he had not had time to give it to his daughter. Shang Ruai looked at the porcelain bottle he took out, frowning slightly, and did not expect that his identity would be exposed here. You are the famous Lingjun doctor?" Shang Ruai made a silent gesture. "Some things are better to be kept to yourself." Wu Hai quickly closed his mouth and nodded. He was extremely grateful at this time that he did not foolishly tear his face with her. If he really offended her, how could he cure the poison in his daughter's body? She walked to the bed, spread her palms, and a purple oriental pearl appeared in front of everyone. The enchanting purple color made everyone's eyes bright. The happiest one was Wu Tanger. She said in surprise, "Is this the purple oriental pearl?" Shang Ruai nodded, put the oriental pearl in her palm, and said with a smile, "Congratulations on your new life. This pearl is just a gift." Wu Hai heard this and quickly refused. "Prince's wife, this purple oriental pearl is so precious. We can't accept it. That's hundreds of thousands of taels." "It's okay, it's just a bead. What's so special about it?" Her words made Wu Hai's lips twitch. Hundreds of thousands of taels are not rare? When Shang Ruai walked out of the yard, it was already dark. Wu Hai had already ordered people to clean up the yard, but she refused. Since she left Tianshan, and she must not delay any longer. After seeing off Shang Ruai, Wu Hai returned to Wu Tanger's room, where she was staring at the Oriental Pearl in a trance. She had already taken a medicinal bath, and her face was flushed. This rosy complexion seemed to have never appeared on her face before. Tanger, it's getting late. You should take a rest.
Daddy.
Wu Tanger bit her lip and said after a moment, the doctor's sister said that I can go see the scenery when it snows. When will it snow? Her words made Wu Hai sad. For so many years, she has always been in poor health. She has never even seen snow. She can't stand the wind on weekdays, let alone winter, and she has never even opened the window. Daddy doesn't know when it will snow, but now that you are well, when it snows, Daddy will take you to see it in person.
Thank you, Daddy.
Wu Tanger's face bloomed with a bright smile, which made Wu Hai's eyes red again. If it weren't for the Crown Prince's consort, he would have to send his son to his death. Thinking of this, he became more determined to follow her. It was late at night when Shang Ruoi and others returned to the Li family along the original route. She originally wanted to say goodbye to her grandfather in the morning, but she didn't expect to see a familiar figure walking out of the back door of the Li mansion as soon as she arrived. Is this Manager Lin? Isn't he on the farm where the pearl clams are raised? Why is he here? Shang Ruai waved her hand, and Ah Chung followed her. After a while, Ah Chung came back. Miss, Manager Lin from the farm has gone to Li Winshan's village. As expected, he is still determined to do evil. Shang Ruai sneered. Let's go to the farm tomorrow to see what kind of trouble they can make. Early the next morning, Shang Ruai and Li Xiaxia came to the farm. Manager Lin did not expect them to come, and came forward in a panic. Greetings, young lady, young master. Shang Ruai saw that he was stained with a lot of water stains and could not help asking, what is Manager Lin doing? Why is he so embarrassed? To answer the young master, I am picking out Eastern Pearl oysters. Some time ago, news came from the palace that the princess wanted to make a set of Eastern Pearl headwear for her birthday. I am selecting Eastern Pearl oysters to present to Her Royal Highness. Shang Ruai nodded when she heard it. It turns out that Manager Lin has so much power that he made the decision on his own without informing the master about such a big matter as presenting Eastern Pearls to the palace. Manager Lin was shocked when he heard it. He did not expect to be picked out of fault. He hurriedly said, the palace needed it urgently this time, so we didn't have time to report it. Li Xiaxia whispered, don't do it again next time. Yes, yes, I will definitely remember it in my heart. I thought that this matter could be glossed over, but then I heard Shang Ruai continue, since Manager Lin said that he has found the Eastern Pearl clam. Take us to have a look. What is the quality of the Eastern Pearl presented to the princess? Manager Lin gritted his teeth and glared at Shang Ruai secretly. Why was this man so relentless? Where did he prepare any Eastern Pearls? He just wanted to fool people with those beads that were discarded in the past. The master said that it would be better if the princess got angry. In this way, the palace would blame her, and the old man of the Li family would certainly not be able to escape. At that time, the master could return to the Li family to preside over the overall situation, and everything would be natural. Now that she wants to see the Eastern Pearl, what should she do? Manager Lin, you are not lying to us, are you?
How could that be?
Manager Lin smiled awkwardly. It's just that the place where the clams are opened is very dirty. No problem. Before he could finish his words, Shang Ruai interrupted him directly. It just so happens that I also want to take a look at how you open the clams. Hearing what he said, Manager Lin had no choice but to bite the bullet and take them to the backyard, where he saw several women picking Oriental pearls. Li Xiaxia said softly, the servants working here have signed a death contract. If they steal anything, they will be beaten to death. So there is no need to worry that they will steal the dongju. Shang Ruai looked at the dongju of varying sizes and qualities, her tone a little heavy. Manager Lin, are these going to be sent to the palace? Young master, You don't know that the good Dongju were sent to the palace years ago, and now these are carefully selected. Shang Ruai sneered. Carefully selected? She walked forward, held a Dongju in her hand, and said lightly, "Is it a carefully selected Dongju, or is it a trick to drag the Li family into the water?" Manager Lin was shocked when he heard this. How could she know? What are you talking about, young master? How come this old servant doesn't understand? Don't understand? Shang Ruai sneered. I guess this princess is not celebrating her birthday for the first time. She has been raised in the palace since she was a child. What kind of rare treasures has she not seen? Now you are fooling her with such quality oriental pearls, and on her birthday, the only princesses who can use oriental pearls are the legitimate princesses born to the queen. How do you think the emperor and the queen will treat the Li family after your behavior? Steward Lin swallowed hard, and the sweat on his head dripped down involuntarily. Young master, it's unfair. This old servant really didn't know it would be like this. He knelt on the ground and explained. It was really because the palace needed it urgently, so there was no time to prepare. After the voice fell, Shang Ruai came to a pool and directed the servants to salvage a few oriental pearl clams. Steward Lin saw where she was standing, and his heart sank. The pearl oysters in the pool have been raised for a long time, and they will definitely produce high-quality pearls. The few pearls he stole in the past few days were all taken from this pool. This morning, he secretly opened one. Although the pearl was not big, it was very round and of excellent quality. Shang Ruai had already seen how big the pearl in the oyster was. After the servants opened it, a huge pearl appeared in the shell. It was even larger than the pearls presented to the palace before. She ordered people to open the other pearl oysters. The pearls in each oyster were round and large. Even Li Xiaxia rarely saw such top-quality pearls. Manager Lin, didn't you say there are no top-grade pearls here? What is this? Li Xiaxia said coldly. How dare you deceive me? Miss, how dare I lie to you? He hurriedly said. It is unknown how well the pearl oysters are open. The pearls are inside the shells, and I can't see them. Li Xiaxia thought about it and felt that what he said was not unreasonable. Just as she was about to let the matter go, she heard Shang Ruai say coldly, whether they don't know or don't want to take out the pearls, I think Manager Lin knows it best. She turned to Li Xiaxia and said, I wonder what the punishment for theft will be? Shang Ruai's words almost made Manager Lin kneel on the ground. Li Xiaxia was a little confused. Theft? In Bailing, a thief needs to have his hands chopped off and have words tattooed on his face so that everyone knows he is a thief. Shang Ruai's eyes fell on Manager Lin with a smile. Manager Lin, did you hear clearly? Manager Lin's legs trembled, and he knelt on the ground with a plop and kept kowtowing. I know I was wrong. It was my negligence. Why don't you take out the dongju you hid privately? Manager Lin's body trembled a few times, and he hurriedly took out the dongju hidden in his arms. Li Xiaxia frowned. Manager Lin, do you know what the punishment for such behavior is in our Li family? They are all servants who owed a death contract to the Li family. The master has the power to decide the life and death of such servants. Stealing dongju will not only have his hands chopped off, but also be severely beaten with 100 sticks. After 100 sticks, the bones will be broken and the servant will die. Miss, when I saw such a good pearl, I wanted to send it to the mansion, not to take it for myself. Please understand. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed continuously. Miss, I have been working diligently in the Li family for decades and have never embezzled the pearl. You know all this. Li Xiaxia frowned slightly. She has just started to take over the family business and doesn't know how to restrain the servants. Shang Ruai said coldly, Don't think before lying. I have just said for so long that the quality of this pearl is not good. Since you said that this pearl was going to be sent to the mansion, why didn't you take it out just now? Yes, why didn't you take it out just now? Manager Lin rolled his eyes and said with his head down, My humble servant, my mind was confused just now, and I forgot such an important thing. Please punish me. How could it be possible to let it go so easily? Shang Ruai took the dongju from his hand and whispered, I remember my grandfather once said that every Dongju oyster taken from the pond will be registered in the book, and the time and by whom it was taken will be clearly written on it. He looked at Manager Lin with a smile. Since it is to be delivered to the mansion, Manager Lin will definitely register it. Manager Lin did not expect her to be so serious, and his heart tightened, thinking to himself that it was not good. The servant brought the book, and there was no record of the Dongju in his hand. Now, what else do you have to say? Your Excellency, I just forgot. He wanted to continue to quibble, but Shang Ruai did not give him the opportunity. She snorted coldly. Since you said you only neglected it this time, I believe it. However, as a steward, you have so many loopholes in your work that you are not qualified to be a steward. Also, since you said you have never embezzled Dongju, you should search it. She clearly saw that Steward Lin's body shook. Li Xiaxia also nodded. That's what I meant. She waved her hand, and several servants came forward. Steward Li's room must be searched thoroughly, and no corner should be left out. Yes. Several people took the order and left. At this time, Steward Lin's legs were limp, and he could no longer stand steadily. Not long after, a servant came over with a box in his hand. Master, this box is locked. I have tried many ways to open it, but I couldn't. Li Xiaxia took the box, and the memories of the past emerged in her mind. This is the mechanism box that her mother had taught her. How did this box end up in your hands? When Manager Lin saw that the box had not been opened, he tried to make a final struggle. He whispered, "It was given to me by the master of the family. A reward for my father? My mother's things, but my father gave them to the servants so casually." Li Xiaxia's eyes showed coldness. She stretched out her hand and pressed a few times on the box. The box seemed to be alive and moved on its own. After several changes, there was a pop sound. The box opened. In the box, several round and huge oriental pearls appeared in front of everyone. Hiss! Such large oriental pearls cannot be measured by silver. Li Xiaxia shouted coldly, "Manager Lin, now the evidence is conclusive. What else do you have to say?" Manager Lin knew that the situation was hopeless. He collapsed to the ground with cold sweat on his head. Villain. I don't want to listen to your quibbling today. Come here. Li Xiaxia said in a cold voice. Take Manager Lin away, cut off his hands, and give him 100 beatings to serve as a warning to others.
Miss.
I know I was wrong.
I won't dare to do it again, miss.
He waved away the guards who were dragging him away, crawled to Li Xiaxia, and kowtowed continuously. Miss, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me this time because I have worked diligently for the Li family for so many years. Manager Lin, we trust you so much and hand over the most important industry of the Li family to you to manage, but you are so selfish. In this case, there is no need to say anything more. People always have to pay the price for their actions. She waved her hand, and the guards stepped forward again, ready to drag him away. At this time, Manager Lin said loudly, Miss, I know the cause of Madame's death. Li Xiaxia was stunned. What did you say? Madame didn't die of illness, but was poisoned by Jean. It was true. Shang Ruai lowered her eyebrows. There were really many dirty things in this noble family. Go on. Li Xiaxia clenched her fists. Go on. Manager Lin's eyes lit up, and just as he was about to speak, he heard a sound of breaking through the air. Before everyone could react, a cold arrow attacked Li Xiaxia. Shang Ruai pulled Li Xiaxia over, and at this moment, there was a puff sound, and another arrow shot Manager Lin directly through. Shang Ruai narrowed her eyes slightly. It seemed that the man's original target was Manager Lin. Ah Chung checked in the direction from which the arrow came. Li Xiaxia stood up with lingering fear, looking at the dead Manager Lin. She couldn't help but tremble with fear. If it wasn't for Sister Shang who saved her just now, her fate would be no different from Manager Lin's. Jean, it must be Jean, killed her mother, and wanted to kill herself. At this moment, Ah Chung came back. Sir, no one was found. Shang Ruai knew it would be like this. The killer who could shoot someone to death under her nose must be no ordinary person. When she returned to the mansion, Li Xiaxia felt even more uneasy. It seemed that someone was always following her, and from time to time, the image of Manager Lin dying with his eyes open would always appear in front of her, scaring her so much that she dared not close her eyes. Sister Shang, I feel like someone is watching me. Shang Ruai knew she was scared when she saw her like this. The old man also got the news and hurried to Li Xiaxia's yard. His granddaughter was so young. How could she have experienced these things? Grandfather. Li Xiaxia's face was pale, and her face was full of tears. Grandfather, sister, I'm scared. As she said that, tears fell again.
Oh.
The old man sighed. Blame me, blame me. Shang Ruai comforted. How can it be your fault? It's obvious that someone is still ruthless. Sister Shang, can you not leave? Shang Ruai shook her head. No, I am in exile now, and I have been away from the place of exile for a long time. If I don't go back, I'm afraid there will be trouble.
But.
The old man of the Li family looked at the two children, his eyes gradually firm, as if he had made up his mind. Children, how about I move the Li family to your place of exile? Shang Ruai was stunned for a moment when she heard the words. Move to the place of exile? Grandfather, the Li family is a century-old family in Bailing. If you leave, it will involve a lot of people. Have you really thought about it? Li Huaiyan smiled with relief. How many years do I have left in this life? The Li family will be handed over to you sooner or later. After 100 years, I don't care what the Li family looks like. As long as you live a stable life, I will be at ease. Shang Ruai didn't expect that her trip to Bailing would bring a century-old family back to Tianshan. Before leaving,